Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 318.
Yeah, that's right.
Caramel of the Disc. Yeah, there was a pause there. A little bit hectic and crazy as I'm coming to you guys from just outside Rock Hill, South Carolina. Of course, Johnny V back in the studio. Thanks, Johnny. You even have an uninvited guest. I
I,
mean, an invited guest.
yeah, he's kind of my new roommate. For those of you that don't know, I'm gonna quick switch to this shot here.
Oh, please don't.
Oh, it's Mahmood.
Wow,
My
wow! Look
fro
at that
doesn't
guy.
even, it doesn't even fit.
I know. I'd have to
hole.
scale out the camera
Yeah,
work.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
so
All
Mo's
right.
here.
Well,
Yeah, your
I
hair's
got my hair up.
nearly as big as Mo's, and you should
No.
really work on that, Terry. No, Mo is here because we're prepping the show. For those of you that remember, or maybe you don't know and you're just finding out, we have a Inside the Arena show on the DGN.
Inside the Winthrop Arena.
Inside the Winthrop Arena, sorry. And so that will be hosted by you and Jamie Thomas, correct, Terry?
As far as I know of, he got off the plane today, although he had a few travel issues, but he ultimately got off the plane. And, well, assuming my car gets me down to Winthrop again tomorrow, there's no reason why it wouldn't, we should be all good to go for a show tomorrow afternoon, I guess, depending where you're coming from. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. I was kind of hoping tonight would be a quiet night because we're going to be prepping. I even thought about postponing it a day and saying, oh, let's wait till after day one of USDGC because we have, then we'll have a lot more to talk about. But honestly, I think after USDGC, you're probably going to be talked out each day. And second of all, we had Jonesboro, we had the DGPT make some big announcements today. Just chaos, Terry, absolute chaos.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit crazy around here. So just to get everyone up to speed as best as I can, after Jonesboro wrapped up, quite a few of our players ultimately took either whether it was the 10, 10 and a half, 12 and a half, whatever it ended up being for them, took the trip over from Jonesboro pretty much straight east, even though you don't drive straight east. There's a little more twist and turn to it, but everybody goes straight east over to Rock Hill, where we all are now. And what's really exciting, maybe more this year than in other years, is that when everyone arrives to Rock Hill, we have both an emphasis on the FPO division and then an emphasis on the USDGC and the MPO division. And normally that's not the case. Usually it's mixed pro open, I understand, for USDGC, but that traditionally means 98 or 99% men's participation. So the fact that we've got these two majors that are both kicking off tomorrow, that are both taking up the next 4 days, I think it's got to be exciting for everybody out there.
Most certainly, is it the first time that these two events have been back to back like this? Have been hosted at the same time? We know Winthrop has hosted women's nationals, I believe, in the past, or I don't even know what it was called back then, to be honest. But was it hosted at the same time as USDGC back then?
Yeah, I think in the first couple of years, and now I know I wish I had all of my history about me, but I know we could go out and figure it out. For the first couple of years, it was hosted essentially either in conjunction or just before or right around the same time here as the USDGC. I feel like in the first year or two, it was going on the exact same time. But those were before the days of me doing any media, so I can't say that I knew nearly as much. That was back all the way in like 1999.
Those were the days that every state got a representative from the USDGC. The state coordinator got to pick or got to choose a method to which to pick a competitor to the USDGC back in the good old days, as we say.
Yeah, and so to elaborate on that just a little bit, as you mentioned, every state coordinator was kind of tasked with the idea of how to have someone represent their state at this event, and that sometimes was competitive. That some kind of was kind of like just granted to people. They really always encouraged that it was the exemption was kind of won over in some kind of a competitive format. And then at a certain point, because this event continued to grow in prestige, at a certain point, those spots became that much more valuable. So rather than allowing rather than allowing a state coordinator to grant a position, they took those spots away, and now it's clearly much tougher to get into. And speaking of that, Johnny, did you look at any of the Monday qualifying that took place yesterday?
Oh boy, did I, Terry! I did check some of it out. I can't seem to find it on UDisc right now. UDisc has a new area for their thing called events. Mo's gonna show me.
Paige Pierce and Calvin
Oh.
Oh, follow USDGC for Monday qualifying. Thank you, Mo.
I'm good for something, Terry.
Mo is good for something. Okay, yeah. So we saw 5 competitors get in. There was a playoff for the final final 3 positions. There was a playoff at 1 under, and it looks like, according to UDisc, if this is correct, and I don't know if it is, for sure Johnny McRae got in. No surprise. The ageless wonder. He is always a fierce competitor at this course. Andrew Turner shot a 2 under, and then tied for 3rd we see Evan Scott, Stephen Miller, and Gavin Babcock. So it looks like those are the players that made it in off of the Monday qualifying.
All right. Well, congratulations to them. There's a certain kind of pressure, and if you're not familiar with Monday qualifying, I'll quickly touch on it, which basically means, especially in this year, it's even additional pressure and a little bit crazier. You signed up. I think they paid a $75 fee this year, as opposed to it's typically been $50 for your first try. But you sign up. You are then given a tee time, and you go out, in this case, with 3 other players, and you play in 1 round here, and then when it's all said and done, they take the lowest 5 scores. And as you just mentioned, the 5 that got in, and then there was a playoff, and they trimmed that down to exactly 5 competitors. In years past, pre-COVID, you were able to sign up for doing it, and then even if whether you completed your round or you pulled back from the round at any point, you could actually go back and pay $25 more to restart. So using an example, maybe you're shooting really well, you get through the first 5 holes, and then all of a sudden on hole 6, you take an 8, and then on hole 9, a few holes later, you take a triple bogey, and you're weighing then whether or not you feel like you should keep going and try and see what your score is going to be, or do you want to go back to the start at hole number 1, and start with a brand new fresh round after paying $25. Now this year, there were no restarts. And so you had one shot, 1 chance, 1 opportunity, 1 lyric from 8 Mile. That's all you had. Eminem was there.
Yes, I've most certainly.
So extra pressure, is that a good way to put it?
It is. Have you ever done the Monday qualifying, Terry?
I have not.
I did the Monday qualifying many years ago. I think I was brought down there by Disc Golf Planet, and I thought, hey, I'll give it a shot. Odds are very slim that I'm going to make it. It's a very tough course. I played pretty well in some spots, and I had like 2 or 3 or 4 really bad holes, like the ones where you rack up like 8s. Get through the round, I'm well out of contention. And then on top of that, I find out that I played some of the OBs wrong on like 2 of the holes because I didn't read the full caddy book or the instructions. I think I played it from where it lied. I think that was maybe stroke and distance here instead of going back to 1 or 2 spots. And ultimately, it didn't matter, thankfully. No. But it's a different type of pressure. It's a lot of fun, the competition. It's really unique. I had said I was going to give it 1 shot, as you said, 1 opportunity. I was not going to try to restart. I just wanted to get through the course, play the course once, and kind of see how that played out. And I do recommend it. If you're in the area, if you get the chance any other year, go and try it, because there's something special about it.
Yeah, it's an electric environment. There's a lot of anticipation. Your some of your staples, like your Brian Schwebergers and your Johnny McRae's this year, a number of players trying to get in. Brian Earhart, certainly one of the better players out there as well that I know was going to try and get in from the Monday qualifying. I think we saw Bradley Williams took a last-minute flight. I think I saw.
Yeah, he qualified just this past weekend.
Yeah. Now
he's one of my sleeper picks.
Oh yeah. Correction. Yeah. Sorry, he was not part of Monday qualifying. I apologize. But yeah, he won this weekend and earned himself his way into the event, and then bought a last-moment ticket so that he could come here and actually play. So yeah, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Everybody wants to play in the event. It's one of the obviously one of the most prestigious events in the world to participate in, and of course to take down the title of. So pretty incredible, and it should be a really fun weekend. Now I saw on the ground, I saw Fulcrum out there today doing some practice filming, and probably just kind of going through the steps and the motions and the routine of who they're going to follow, how they're going to follow the disc and the players. I saw multiple cameras on one given group. It seemed kind of like they were just going through a dry run, so to speak. So
I actually got to tune in for that. Yeah, I got to tune in for that. I have a secret back door into their stream so that we can bring it into the Disc Golf Network stream tomorrow when we want to kind of give you guys a preview of what you should have already purchased. And it looked pretty good. Honestly, I mean, they've took some of the UDisc graphics, they've kind of altered them just a little bit and added a little flair to them. They look nice. I got to hear a quick 2-minute intro between Ian and Philo, just warming up, so to speak. It sounded great, and I got to see a little bit of Terry Roddy running around the legend himself out at the USDGC. So
yeah, it was great.
It looked really good.
Good. It was great seeing Terry out there today. In fact, a couple of us went and I can actually turn on the screen in front of me. A couple of us went and got together shortly after the day's kind of dry run took place. People were just around doing a ton of stuff. Everybody had either a job or a function, or putting last-minute touches on the course, or taking care of things. Now, I will say, even with that, it was a very, I don't want to call it eerie. I don't want to put a bad connotation on it. It was just a very different feeling here, because you're used to so many people out here. You're used to just countless golf carts, zipping around, doing all these different things, an insane amount of feather banners and things of that nature just plastered all over the course. And this year, just things are scaled back, and that's large in part not just to the players, but that's large in part to the volunteerism and the amount of staff and people that can even be here on site. So it's going to be magical, and the title's going to be just as grand as ever. But it has definitely a very different vibe here at one of our most prestigious events.
And I don't know if that's going to come across. I think that for the viewers, which is has to be pretty much everybody, they're still going to see great golf. They're going to see a challenging course, and players, you might not hear some of the applause that you'd normally hear, unless Fulcrum plans on piping in applause like the NFL. I don't know. But for the average viewer, not a big deal. Now, on course, as you said, no big masher contest, no over the leg, none of that stuff. So it's going to feel, for those of you who have been there before, there's not going to be that special extra USDGC sauce that tends to really make the event special to be there. But yeah, it is what it is, and that's what we have to deal with this year. Hopefully, only this year. And if there's a year that you can't be there, this is the one.
Yeah, and I'll also say another huge component of the experience here is seeing the kids, the Edge Village, all the training and assisting with all of the local schools that come and visit, not having a player hospitality area, which has become one of those spots where all of our players are able to go relax after the round, and then they have food that is prepared every single day, as much as you could find or hunt down to maybe stuff your sorrows away or whatever the case might be, or to go in there and get a snack before you go out for your tournament round. Those are the types of things. And then the other biggest thing to me is the USDGC Pro Shop. We've seen that as a staple at this event, has all the latest wares, and usually there's a few new releases.
It's virtual this year.
They have to take all of that virtual, and so it's just I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars in that USDGC Pro Shop over the years, and maybe it's a good thing for me that it's virtual and I can't just walk in there and buy a bunch of stuff. So,
and I'm assuming
it's going to be great.
Most of the years you've gone down there, you have made a stop at the Innova factory, the Innova warehouse. Were you able to do that this year, or is that off limits?
No, I don't believe they're doing any of those visits. I know even some of our...
Not that there'd be anything in that warehouse right now. As we know, every disc manufacturer is basically sold out. Yeah, well, and the fact that, like you said, there's so much sold out, but then having additional people there at your workplace, all of those things. And I've even been told, I think the team members are not allowed. And that's usually, again, one of those kind of fun side things that when you come to Rock Hill, you come to this event, if you're an Innova team member, that's almost a guaranteed visit that you're going to make right here to the factory. You may, pick out some of your supplies or your allotment for the year, or some players I know only do it at the USDGC because they want to come in and handpick their items. This year, that's also not on the table. So no, unfortunately, there's going to be no shopping over at the Innova Disc warehouse. But again, might be a smart. That might be a blessing in disguise for someone like me. I don't pick up too much stuff. So I was gonna say, we just want to reiterate real quick. Maybe we'll kind of finish up and wrap up USDGC talk a little bit here. DGN has the Inside the Winthrop Arena, which is a companion piece to the primary broadcast that you can find on USDGC.com. You can sign up there, 20, 30, I was going to say 40, but not 40 anymore because those are sold out. $20 and $30 price points, depending on what you want. We will be doing a show from, I believe, depending on what time zone you're in, but we'll just say between the two rounds, and then which will be about 2 hours, and then a final show at the end of each day to wrap up the MPO, which will be about an hour. So, and you can find that on DGN. If you're already a DGN subscriber, you don't have to pay any extra. It's just part of your subscription. It's a bonus that we're giving out to all of the subscribers. It's our way of saying thank you for being a subscriber all year long. Hopefully, we have passed all of our wildest expectations.
Yeah, it's incredible, and we as you just said, want to make it crystal clear as to the opportunities that are available, whether it's purchasing it directly from USDGC.com or logging in the Disc Golf Network. Hopefully, that messaging has been very clear to everyone out there, and we hope to see you in both. I mean, I don't know what else you'd rather do tomorrow, but I could see you watching the FPO, then you have the middle show, so to speak, the wrap-up and preview show in one, and then you have the MPO, and then another wrap-up show. I mean, that sounds like heaven on earth, right?
I can't imagine not wanting more of Terry Miller and maybe Jamie Thomas too.
Yes. So
and pros that come off the course. Obviously, we're going to be grabbing interviews with people. There's a third chair set aside away from the Terry and Jamie that will have a second camera on for everybody, so we'll be able to get interactions with players and figure out, why did they take that 14 on hole 17 and things like that. So that's one thing I want you to do, Terry. I want you to grab, as the day goes on and the scores get worse, whoever has the worst score on 17, bring him in for an interview.
Ah, that's a good idea.
So if you shoot an 8 early in the day, you get on and get a quick interview with Terry. Later in the day, if there's a 12, you got to pull that guy in and find out how much worse his 12 was than that other guy's 8. How did he complete that hole? So if we could do that, if we could keep a running tally of the worst scores on 17, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure they would really appreciate that as well. Now, real quick, I am not going to go any further than this, only because this is as far as my knowledge is right now. So I'm not just going to make up stuff, believe it or not. But I do know, at least for hole 17, for instance, there are going to be slightly different rules for how hole 17 gets played from the MPO versus the FPO. I believe I heard today that FPO will tee if they do not make it, if they go out of bounds, they go to a drop zone immediately. If they don't make it from that drop zone and make it safely, then they go to the drop zone that's found on the green. So it's this progressive drop zone, so to speak. The MPO, and I'm not going to guess on the exact rules, but I know the MPO are not playing it the same.
I think you get 2 shots from the tee, and then you go to the first drop zone, and you get a shot, and then you go. I don't know, but either way, you could still rack up some pretty big.
Exactly,
scores.
but I'm just throwing that out there. That's one thing that I overheard today. I also heard that between either the par or the tees, I think we heard that there are 8 different holes, so to speak, from the MPO to the FPO division. So either the pars are changed and the whole plate is the exact same, or potentially they have a different tee that they're playing from. And those are out there as well. Hole 2, I know, for instance, Hannah Macbeth was telling me hole 2 is one very early on where you're going to see a different tee that the FPO are playing from. So,
and as always, our chat board has the answer. It's actually 3 tee shots and then a drop zone. So that is going to be the set hole 17 rule. All right, let's talk about. I guess we start with Jonesboro. Honestly, it feels like it's such old news, but it just happened this past weekend. We haven't really had a chance to discuss it on the air. We had the final Disc Golf Pro Tour event for the tour season. Now, we still got the championship at the end, which we'll talk about in a little bit because there's big news revolving around that. But real quick, we'll talk about the Play It Again Sports Jonesboro Open over in Jonesboro, Arkansas. That's a mouthful. Calvin Heimberg in the MPO coming back in the final round, putting McBeast in his place.
Yeah.
Just Calvin shooting an outstanding 12 under par that final round. Paul Macbeth shot a good 8 under. I think it was if you look at the scores, it was like the 6th highest or the 6th best score of the day. Just Calvin was unflappable practically. They both bogeyed hole 14. They both eagled hole 16, but Calvin just racked up, a couple extra birdies that Paul couldn't get. And so writes the story.
As you said, it was a few days ago, and my mind is already heading over to the next spot. But a couple of things that jump out at me for this, and I feel comfortable saying this because I've known Paul for a long time, and maybe more importantly, the world has known just how good he is. But here's what I'll say. He clearly can be beat, and the mentality and the tenacity and the ferociousness that I feel like he once had, where he's got a 2 or a 3 or a 5-stroke lead or whatever it is going into a final day or a final 2 days. There was at one point that you would have bet the house on it that he was going to close it out. And this maybe will fire him up, as I know he's watching, him and Hannah are watching, but that's not the case anymore. And that obviously speaks to just how good these competitors are. We have more parity in the overall division, and how good people like Calvin and the Kevin Jones and the all the other great players that we have. So it's no disrespect to anyone else at all. It's they're all coming up and challenging and getting past him. He doesn't seem to have that extra gear. Now, I know things like this can be said, and then we could be talking in 6 months and he's won, 10 out of the next 10 events.
Or 4 days, in 4 days, he could be up by 10 strokes.
Absolutely. I understand all of that. So, I'm not calling him washed up or anything stupid like that. I'm just saying.
Terry Miller says Paul Macbeth has lost it. Cool.
of a few years ago is clearly beatable.
Kind of does sound
just,
like you're
no, I'm just saying he is clearly so much more beatable than he was a few years ago. When he had the lead, it was done.
I hope you know that Paul 100% is listening to this right now and is
of course he is.
Yeah, and he's gonna write it down on a post-it note, and this is why he's gonna win USDGC by 10, and he's gonna be like, Miller was talking trash on Smashbox, and
he's literally gonna take that post-it note and stick it to your forehead as he walks by.
No, hey, come here.
I got
somebody tell me I'm wrong. That's all I'm gonna say. Somebody tell me that I'm wrong.
You are right. You are right, and I don't know if it's the fact that Paul has lost a step, or if the competition has gained a step.
It's just everyone else
just
is
feels
better.
like Heimberg, specifically Heimberg, has. It doesn't feel like Heimberg has that extra gear like Paul used to have to really really crush somebody. He's just so consistent. Like he just always plays well.
So you know what's funny about Vinny is like, so I'm sitting here in the producer chair a lot while we're doing these live broadcasts, and it's always like, oh man, Vinny shot 15. Like I wasn't even like we had a camera on and we just never even showed his highlights because it was just like, oh yeah, it's just normal stuff.
Throw, get to about 20 to 25 feet, put a putt in. Throw 20 to 25 feet, put a putt in. Yeah. Like there's nothing. And I'm throwing that in quotes. Spectacular. Usually about his rounds. It's not flashy. Exactly the phrase. He's just so good. Whereas if Paul, when Paul's shooting well, like he's dropping in a 50-footer. He's throwing in like, a 120-footer once, during that round. Vinny doesn't seem to do that as much. But
Paul also has the same thing where he makes it look boring when he can also do that too. It's just
yeah. So I mean, Vinny has stepped up. He is, I would say, arguably the second best player in our game right now. Still behind Paul. I would give him maybe. It's hard. It's hard between him and Eagle because they are so close between Kelvin and Eagle. I still have to give the edge though to Paul Macbeth is the best player in the game. So anyway,
well,
but you're right.
Those are just something to think about now. In all fairness, I did see Kelvin Vinny out there on the course today. He said something or other about being on Smashbox. I said, yeah, tonight's the night. Let's do it. And but then realizing we're obviously on the East Coast, 10 o'clock, so on and so forth. I don't know what time he actually plays tomorrow. And then he messaged me back saying he's not gonna make it, but he had to think about it. So I'll read to you what he wrote me, which is, I won't be able to make your show tonight. I don't want to be out too late. I'll try to win this next one and get on next week. So if that's not mad trash talking for the rest of the world, I don't know what is.
It's the worst.
I mean,
I love that he's the worst trash talker and he knows it and he plays it up and it's fun. He's such a fun guy. Anyway, we'll go a little further down the results board. Third place, the guy who always plays really well here, who is flashy, who is a lot of fun, Garrett Gerthy. He was 5 strokes behind Paul, who, lost to Calvin by 1. Fourth place was Chris Dickerson, shooting 24 under par, tied with Andrew Presnell at 24 under par. Sixth place, Paul Ulibarri. That's a name we haven't seen way up at the top a lot this year. So congratulations to Paul, hopefully getting right in that USDGC groove. Seventh place, Alden Harris, tied with AJ Carey. Reed, skip it off the water for Skura. And then 10th place, Jeremy Colling and Eric Oakley.
Dude, that was so silly. When I saw him lining that up, I was like, he's not actually, like, he's not really going full meme here, is he?
How many discs do you think he loses every year practicing? I don't
know. At the success rate that we've seen, I'm going to guess 0.
Yeah, that's a valid point, Terry. Valid point.
What, like he's got that shot dialed in.
Any thoughts about MPO before we move over to FPO? It's just...
no, I mean, you could ask, is there any momentum? Is there anything that, you saw last week, or somebody feels like their game is firing on all cylinders? Who feels like they, really enjoy coming here and what this event means to them? I think all of those types of questions are out there. Everyone's processing it all a little bit differently. I saw Greg Barsby out on the course today, and we all know that he is all but pulled himself off of the pro tour for these last few events, but he's out here, and obviously this is a big one for him. I think there's a story or non-story in the fact that Philo is not playing at all. Not necessarily that he was a favorite to win, but I think there's still a really interesting, bigger story to the fact that he was ready to come do commentary and take probably a guaranteed paycheck. I don't know how disc golf rich that's going to get him or not, but those are all things that come to mind. I don't know. I don't know how much I believe in the momentum factor from one event to the next. I've said it before. Last weekend you're in Jonesboro with things that are pretty straightforward, not a lot of OB to find, as Kelvin tells us, and a hill or elevation on almost literally every single hole or every single shot. And then you come here, lots of rope, lots of OB, and almost perfectly flat, with the exception of a few holes.
There's like 4 holes.
So
I don't know if
who's ready, who's dialed. I guess that's the question.
I don't necessarily I don't necessarily think anything translates between the 2 weekends. I think it's just a good warm up in general to make sure that your body's in shape, that you're focused, and you just move on because it's a completely different style of course. That's what it is. Let's move over to the FPO side of the game.
Finally,
respect her game, right? Today we have.
It's just.
We'll talk about that in a moment. Yep.
Yeah, we will talk about that in a moment.
It's just more interesting.
It's a lot more interesting when Paige Pierce crushes the field by 13 strokes. Not as interesting as the MPO this week, which is. Normally I agree with you, Mo, because if you take a look at a lot of our highlights from the weekend, the top fives I put out, the FPO highlights dominated. But the FPO competition wasn't necessarily as exciting if you are not a Paige Pierce fan. And who wouldn't be, though? It's Paige Pierce.
I just look at that final round from Kat, and I thought it was if Paige wasn't there, that final round from Kat would have been
a great round.
Is insane.
It's a great
she hits
round.
The basket on 3. Look at this, she reels off 5 straight. Mm-hmm. She hits the insane, or the putt on 12 was the day before, but Kat's round got over.
Kat is shooting very well, and they put her in second place by 13 strokes. Third place was Haley King. Fourth place was Jay Weezy, Jessica Weiss. Fifth place, VVD, Vanessa Van Dyken.
Is that what I look like?
Mo hates the way he looks, by the way. His hair doesn't fit into the frame.
You're not the only one, Mo.
But ultimately, I gave us the 3 shot. I set it up real quick so that Mo could be on camera if he wanted to.
You take that down the side. I'm working.
It makes Mo uncomfortable, which makes me happy. So
I know that is the best.
Sixth place, Chrissy Fountain, who showed up on our chase card. She was a great story because she had a great line.
Terry, your interview with her brought the biggest smile to my face when she said that thing I deserve to be here. I did all the work. This is I'm not here because I'm lucky. I'm not here because these other ladies aren't playing as well. I'm here because I deserve this. That made my day. I was beaming in the room.
I know we were actually all rooting for her to get on the lead card.
Yeah, I mean, what a great story and what a great opportunity to meet her, and then to see that she was the first card in of the tournament. She played in a group of 3. She's the first card in, and not a household name. I'm sure she is if you're in Texas, but not necessarily on the larger scene. And it was great to talk to her, to get to know her a little bit. Her husband, her dogs. I got to pet both of her dogs, so it was pretty incredible. And then I caught up with her a little bit throughout the weekend, and she's she definitely has that infectious personality where she's excited to be there, she's excited to perform well, and maybe this is even a little bit of an additional motivator to keep her striving and pushing. And we'd love to see her out there at the next event. That's for sure.
And Chrissy had said during your interview she was hoping to shoot around even. She ended up at even for the event by shooting a 3 under par that final round. So shout out to Chrissy, who we'll just say in general accomplished her goal for the weekend. Again, put it in perspective, that's still 33 strokes behind Paige Pierce. But Paige is a planet of her own.
Yes. So I guess the question then begs the question, if we're going to tie Jonesboro to USDGC this weekend. Number one, is Jessica Weiss doing all right? I did see her at dinner, but I didn't get a chance to sit and talk to her for a moment. I should have. But A, how is she feeling? And did a couple days off do her arm any good? And then B, with a course of this distance, does one say, hey, this looks like this should be a Cat or a Paige?
We were actually talking about that earlier. Like, of all the places that that Paige might struggle, it would be here, right? Like,
lots of danger. Yeah. She's known. Like, it wouldn't shock me to see her win and still have the most OBs in the top 10. She is really need to be She will really need to be careful on the stroke and distance holes. I think that those she could rack up some really big numbers. I think on the normal hazards and standard out of bounds rules, I don't see her having to be much less aggressive, because even if she goes out of bounds, she does it 75 to 100 feet further than every other female in that division. So she still gets an advantage. But man, if she gets caught up on some of those holes where she could rack up some really big numbers, that would keep the rest of the competition in play. Well, and it's going to be tough.
Well, her power, so I'm going to play devil's advocate to myself. Her power is also a way for her to play, like, quote unquote conservatively, though, because where everyone else maybe has to throw like their distance driver or whatever, she gets to throw her
mid
raptor or whatever, or her zone or something.
Yeah.
And she can just spike down the fairway. So maybe that's a little bit easier for her. But
you're right.
I'm so fascinated to watch and see how she attacks it, because she's also like the best putter thrower I think I've ever seen. So like that. I wonder, I've never played this course. I've never seen this course. I wonder if you kind of take that a little bit away from her with the ropes everywhere. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think?
She could play a mid and putter game and keep up with the rest of the field and be much safer. Yeah. That's not her style, though. Like, her style is to go out, get to that tee, crush it, and move on. And that is going to be a really interesting storyline this week as to what Paige Pierce is, how she's going to attack this course. Of which she might be one of the few, other than Kat, that's played this before in an event.
Yeah, and I was thinking that earlier when we were talking about storylines of she has the most experience, and playing on a property that's as revered and renowned and as carries so much weight with it. Being here before helps. And there's some courses you can say, it doesn't really matter. This course, I think it does matter, even if the ropes have changed a little bit, which is knowing your way around the course, reading greens, reading fairways, seeing, when you're out during the day or in the morning per se, how the grass is going to be, how it reacts to the dew if it's on the ground, that kind of stuff. I guess it'd be weird if the dew was somewhere other than
the trees. The dew could be in the trees.
That's true. It could be in the bushes that are out there. But those are all things that have to be thought about. So here's my number one takeaway to then move off of the FPO conversation. My one thing to look at wraps up what you boys just said. She has the distance, and then the control is the question. If she goes OB, which she's going to do, everyone's going to do it, and she's going to do it. Does she go OB at the end of the flight or at the early part of the flight? I think that's going to determine, because if she drives it 400 feet and then goes out of bounds by 6 feet and she gets to take it, all the way and carries that 400, that's a big difference.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what I said 10 minutes ago, Terry Miller.
Yeah, well,
but no, you're exactly right there.
So now I want to move on to something that definitely ties to all of that conversation, which is today I would consider a very important, special day out there that unfortunately came about in a roundabout way, and it's almost too bad that it has to. But the fact that we saw on social media, I don't care where you were, whether it was Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, those are all the main ones. Somebody maybe did it on TikTok. Excuse me. We saw the Respect Her Game hashtag put out there today, and I loved it. And it's not today, and it ends today by any means, but this was really if you go to the website respecthergame.org, the first thing that pops up is creating a positive space for female disc golfers. And again, it's too bad that this needs to even be talked about in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that I think any and all platforms or people bring it to light is crucial. Basically, the long and short of it is, let's get rid of the bullying and the sexual harassment and the objectification and just all of the nastiness that we typically find tied to women's disc golf and women's disc golf media and coverage. And not just coverage, I guess that's maybe even getting a little bit specific, but just to women disc golfers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've said this before.
It's funny because this is not a program or an incentive or something to bring more women into the sport, although it can help. It is more of a, for the women that are currently in the sport, don't be a dick. Don't be a creep. Don't be, don't be unwanted, any of that stuff. Just let them be supportive. Don't talk about physical aspects of their body. Like, just be a person and respect their game. I don't know a better way to phrase it. I want to say thankfully, you and I and Mo, it's nothing we have ever had to deal with. Like, no one's, trust me, look at the three of us. No one's objectifying us anytime soon. It is unfortunate, and you see a lot of the social media backlash right now from people that don't want to see the problem. And that's really, I think, where a lot of the issue lies, is you have people out there that don't think it's a problem. But when you see this many women players come out and say, no, this is a problem, clearly we have an issue in our sport somewhere. And this will, again, while it isn't directly an objective to bring new women to the sport, it will definitely help keep them here if they decide to dip their toes in.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this carries on and has so many residual effects and added benefits. And really, it's just called being like a good, upstanding human. And that's probably one of the worst parts about this, is people are making this out to be a big deal, in the sense that, like, oh, that's not a problem. Unfortunately, it is. And it is in a lot of ways, whether it's overt or it's subtle. It happens all the time. And if you're being a good human, this doesn't apply to you. It means you can still encourage others to do as you're doing, and you could lead by example. So keep doing then what you're doing. If you're supportive, if you're kind, if you're not objectifying, if you're doing all those things, then you don't have to be triggered. You don't have to be mad about this. You don't have to take it personally in that sense. But what you can do, even if you're not, guilty of it, is you can still encourage that environment. You can still bring some of those positive attributes to the others that maybe you hang out with or you golf with or that This is really can be impactful by everyone, even if you're a perfectly good, upstanding person. And whether it's guy or girl, and as said on the board, it's not just men and women. It's, of course, you want everybody just to treat everyone else as humans. All right, be polite, be kind.
I don't know if this was by design, Terry, but you put out a video in support of Respect Her Game. It has a bunch of female players, all their different, a bunch of shots and camaraderie. Go take if you have a question about whether or not we have a problem, just go look at the comments. And exactly. I don't know if you specifically left them out there for that specific reason, or if you just haven't got around to cleaning them up. But feel free to go out and check that out on Terry's Disc Golf Guy page. You can find it on social media somewhere, but otherwise his YouTube page. And just take it in, people, and you can understand why this is a front and center right now. So that's
thank you for bringing that up. Specifically, I had posted the video. I worked on it for a few hours last night. I posted it at like 5 or 6 in the morning. When I got up at 9 o'clock, there were already a bunch of nasty comments on it. You know, people denouncing it and saying that it doesn't happen and denying it and everything else, and then just flat out being just absolute jerks about it. And I then had a phone call with Sarah Sinclair, who is one of the primary, we'll say, campaign organizers who's worked really hard on it. And I said, you know, I feel like now I have to go out and moderate all of these comments. And I'm glad to do so. I typically do watch pretty good over most of the things that are posted. And she said, yeah, or you could just turn off the comment section. And I said, wow, that'd be crazy. Like, in over 1,000 videos I've posted to my channel, I don't know that I've ever turned off a comment section. But yeah, that's one way to do it. And then when talking to Sarah Holcomb, once I got to the course, her and I were having the same conversation, and she said, in one way, there's like this perfect example that's being set right there. And like you just said, Johnny, if you're not sure of what's happening or you're unaware of it, just go read a few of the comments that are posted on this 51-second video where I just show a bunch of women throwing good disc golf shots and having a good time and say respect her game on it. And there's hundreds of comments of guys just being absolute jerks, or people, men or women, just being jerks. So yeah, if you're unsure of what we're talking about, I see Dan Harbeck's asking, are people bullying women? Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, just go look at the comment section of the video we're talking about, and you'll see exactly what is happening day in and day out. And if you're mad because you're sitting at home and you're like, I don't need to get lectured by these couple of 40-year-old white dudes, fine. You can hate us. You can be mad about it. But just know it's a real problem. And we have no problem. We would love to take the stand along with the women in saying, hey, let's address it, and let's just work to be better about it. That's all. And yes, John Carver is the worst of the worst. So if you personally know John Carver, and I've brought him up, and I almost hate saying his name and giving him the credit, but he's just going to get blocked from my page because he makes jerk comments on everyone's YouTube. But he's one of the #1 jerks out there. I'll give him that. He's just one of the #1 jerks, and he's a jerk on everybody's YouTube. He's just like a professional troll, and I don't know what his deal is. So if you personally know John Carver, I would love for you to to hug it out with him real good.
I'm guessing that it's a
Smashbox Big
Fake name.
yeah, it's an alias.
I've offered him hugs. I don't know what his problem is. I would love to hug him and work it out, because that guy, or a girl, I think it's a guy, loves to be a complete jerk. All right.
Let's move on from the negative. The positive is the respecthergame.org. Go check it out. Read all about it and try to be a better human being in general.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah. It's just be better. It's really simple. It's okay. Let's talk about the big news from the Disc Golf Pro Tour that was dropped today. Two kind of big announcements, or very big announcements, depending on how you want to look at it. Let's first talk about payouts. We heard from Jeff Spring and the crew over at the Disc Golf Pro Tour about the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship payout structure. That there is a $94,000 purse, is what I think I heard. Winner of MPO. Yeah, if there wasn't, there is now. Sorry, Jeff. There is MPO and FPO. Both will take home, the champions will take home $15,000 each.
But wait, there's more, Johnny.
What is that more, Terry?
Well, for starters, we will touch on that. $15,000 each. So
yeah, each.
There's 16 women, 32 men. Whoever ends up winning it all, each will get 15 grand. So they're even across the board. Secondly, that is a minimum of 15 grand. I think I'm not supposed to share that they're trying to get it to 20 grand a person.
What?
Yeah.
Have they been asking you for money, Terry? Has Jeff Spring personally come up to you and asked you to pitch in a couple bucks?
I'll write him any check I can find out of anyone's checkbook. But 15,000 is the minimum, and they're trying to, and I think we'll commit soon. If not, it's going to be awkward because we're put them on the spot. I believe it's going to be more like 20,000 for the winner of the championship in both the MPO and FPO division.
Which more than likely will be the highest single payout for an FPO player.
And MPO.
And the highest in modern times for MPO. There's always, you can go back to the big whammo, the $50,000 thing, and I believe the winner got more than that then. But we're talking modern disc golf at this point. That's way back in the 70s, back when I was going to say back when this hairdo was popular.
back when this dude wasn't alive.
Yeah, before Mo was born. So 15,000 would tie the USDGC from, I think, when Nico won in 2009. I can't remember the year it was. I don't remember offhand. But back then, I believe USDGC had a $15,000 payout for first place.
Yeah, it's just absolutely insane. I just, like I said, was with Jeff Spring, and he told me, I said, is there anything I need to know? And he said that 15 is the minimum. And I think he said they're trying to get to 20. And I don't remember if he said it was 20 and then 10, maybe even for second in both MPO and FPO.
I think right now it's 70. Is it 7,500 for second? I'm looking at Mo like he's watching basketball right now.
I'm not watching basketball. I'm working hard.
No, he was watching.
I would click over for
I looked
1
over.
second.
He's watching basketball.
No, I clicked over for 1 second. I'm working.
He's
really hard on
doing
this thumbnail.
research for the tour.
I'm making please verify that
he is doing a lot of work, but he did peek at the game.
Right?
Mo is, for those of you that don't know, Mo is a very avid basketball fan. So the fact that he just checked in, he's been doing a lot of hard work. Everybody, I'm not gonna shout out. He's so embarrassed now.
All right,
anyway,
so here I'll read it to you as it stands.
Okay, yes,
I'll read
please
it
do.
To you. I got it.
I was just gonna look it up.
Right now, it shows 15 grand for first in MPO and FPO, 7,500 for second in both divisions, 3,800 for third in both divisions, 2,500 for fourth, 1,500 for fifth, and then it says 1,100 for sixth and 900 on the FPO side. So I think that might go to 20 and then 10 and then go down from there. It's honestly, it's incredible.
It's phenomenal.
It's absolutely insane. And then to follow up the payout that should be coming is the excitement around more, I guess, cable news, big ESPN2 coverage as well.
Correct. The Pro Tours, I don't know if I can officially say signed an agreement, but it's been announced, so I'm going to assume that some paperwork has been at least passed around that says that the Pro Tour is going to have a 2-hour block on ESPN2 covering the tour finale. And not just any old tour finale. We're going to see MPO and FPO with equal coverage is what I believe was stated. So we're going to see, in theory, an hour of MPO or an hour of FPO approximately, probably minus commercial time, whatever.
There's going to be approximately, and Mo, I'm telling you about your new workload, by the way, here probably. No, there's the way it was explained to me is we will likely see about 25% of that broadcast will be dedicated to kind of telling the story about how the players and how the year got to where it is.
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be a little bit of backstory that gets everyone up to speed, and then that brings them to the championship. And then again, very exciting that both MPO and FPO are going to have the remainder of that coverage time split up, and we're going to see that on ESPN2, and I think they're looking at probably mid-November for the release. So this will be happening at mid-ish October. Yeah, we'll just call it mid-October, mid to mid-late October. And then we're looking at probably around mid to early November.
That's awesome.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is. And obviously, thanks a lot to Mo, who had some of the connections at ESPN and was able to get people at least people talking. You know, whether what Mo did behind the scenes, I don't know, but at least he was able to start the connection.
Very, very little.
he kind of pushed a ball down a hill and just kind of watched it and said, "All right, you're on your own."
Yeah.
Well, and then he sat there at
regardless.
the bottom cashing his commission check.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
Mo
I
rolled up in a new
also-
Lexus. I'm not sure if everyone knew that.
I also was made privy to the now not secret. I don't believe this is a time buy, and that's not,
It's not.
a
No, that was actually pretty important to me.
yeah, and that is, of course, hats off and kudos and thanks and everything else to Jeremy Rusko and what they did with CBS, and obviously the hoopla around the 4 days of coverage there, which I think was very well received, but it also came with a really hefty price tag. And this event is, you saw the ridiculous payout, but it doesn't sound like the Pro Tour is then paying for the opportunity. Mo, can you let the world know when you talk right into that mic, nice and clear?
Yeah, sorry.
What does that mean? What does that mean? And what are some of the pros and cons here, or how big time are we getting?
I mean, you should. Buying airtime is just not something that I think we needed to do given the position that we were in. Just because it's going pretty good. Like disc golf's in a good spot. Like we didn't need to like the disc golf network's going really well. We have leverage. Like it's like I think we're so used to thinking of disc golf as like the small sport that isn't like important, but like you should never like gift content to someone and then pay them also for that content. Not to say that like dynamic like that was a big opportunity for them, but like when you are giving someone like the idea of content, right? Like visual content is very abstract. It's really hard to like understand, but like a show is an asset. It's like a table. It's like a I don't know, like a car. Like a show is worth something. Media is an asset. So like when you give them a thing, you're giving them something. So like they should pay you for that thing. It's not, you should never be, not never, but like you probably shouldn't be paying them unless you're like really wanting the exposure. So yeah. And that's what we kind of started there with ESPN. And
How much?
yeah.
And you have more information than we do. I know.
Doubtful.
Well, a little bit, because I think you were in on some of the calls. How much leverage did we have because of the CBS deal with ESPN to say, hey, look, there is interest in this.
Yeah.
And whether or not we paid for it or not, that might be, a whole nother thing. But at least we can go to ESPN and say, hey, look what they're doing over here. Don't you want some of this action? Was that
sure.
was that a any sort of weight on the scale?
I think that's the fact that CBS got back to us meant something. Like the fact that like the thing aired and CBS came back and was like, well, can you do it again? So like, I think that mattered.
I don't know if anyone knew that, but okay.
Oh shoot, was I not supposed to?
I don't know.
This is why
We tricked them.
We tricked Mo. We tricked Mo.
just take me off the thing. Like, I'm gonna go back. No, but yeah, no, it certainly it didn't hurt.
Oh yeah, exactly. No. And, what's Jeff really like? I'm just kidding. No, obviously this is great for disc golf, especially again. I can't say enough because I don't want to sound like we're by any means slighting what was done earlier in the year. DD did what they felt they had to do, and we got some what we think is pretty good exposure. DD got some good advertising. The community came together to help do that. That's great. Now we've hopefully, think about it this way. We've taken the next step. We have moved from where we are buying advertising time to where we're not paying for it. There's still costs involved. There's still costs to produce it. There's still costs to put it on. There are definitely costs. I've heard some of the numbers behind the scenes that I will not share.
Yeah.
But there are definite costs to make this happen. And it is the next step. I think the step beyond this is someone comes to us and says, we want to pay you to do this.
So eventually, like to go back to my chair analogy,
Yeah.
like right now we're paying to give someone a chair so they can show it off in their display case or something.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you want someone to buy the chair from you. So eventually, like that's how the NBA makes money. That's how, and all these sports leagues, like I looked up the NBA deal the other day. It's like they get 24 billion over 9 years, and that's $2 billion a year for the NBA. That there you go. That covers all your salaries. That covers almost all your overhead. And that's how like these sports leagues run, as they sell their media rights. And that's what we want to get to eventually.
Correct.
Our media rights, just literally the right to broadcast the dynamic disc open is something that you pay for.
Yep.
So, and it's just, it's going to take a while, but those are the stepping stones.
No, yeah, and we're not, hopefully we're not rushing in. We don't want anyone to think that that normally this stuff moves this fast. We have been, this has been a long time coming, and we just happen to take these 2 steps relatively and closely in the same year. So it is really exciting that we are going to have disc golf on ESPN2. I don't know, Terry, what more is there to say about it?
No, I mean, it's something that a lot of people have talked about for a lot of years. Again, and I'll say the same about CBS. For everyone, it means something different. How new school are you? How old school are you? Is this something you've been thinking about since you picked up your first disc 22 years ago? Or is this something that doesn't move the needle for you because currently you watch nothing but TikTok and Hulu and Netflix? I mean, so to everybody, it means something different. And I think as our world continues to evolve, in the sense that being on an ESPN from a network perspective may or may not mean to you what it did all those years ago, because that was your one place for sporting news and recaps and highlights and things of that nature. And now there's so many other avenues and things that may satiate those desires. So
I'm right in that boat.
Cool.
I'm right in that boat. Like ESPN to me, like you would have told me 10 years ago, oh, disc golf's gonna be on ESPN, I'd have been like, holy crap, we've hit it. We're doing awesome, this and that. I kind of feel like right now, and I'm excited for the ESPN deal because it is a stepping stone to what Mo has said, where eventually, hopefully, someone's buying your media rights. But I also feel like the way the DGN is succeeding and things like that, it's not necessarily a needed aspect. Now, but again, it takes us from the point of where people are paying to watch in the DGN model to hopefully someday someone is paying us that then can sell commercials against it so people can watch for free or on cable or however you want to look at it. Like it's an evolution, and there's a lot of talk right now about whether cable is the future, whether subscription channels are the future. I mean, we're in a funny media time in general, but I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting step to take right now. Does it show that disc golf is getting bigger and this is an awesome move, or does it show that the cable companies are becoming more desperate to get more content because sports is almost the last bastion in cable for live media? Like you can't replicate live sports like in other avenues. It just doesn't translate. I don't know. Go ahead, Mo.
Well,
let me bring you back on.
No. I only slightly disagree with you in that you can't. It's not I don't think it's sports necessarily. I think it's like the collective effervescence. It's the like,
Emmys, Oscars, that
Game of Thrones,
that community,
like something where you're all
building,
watching the same.
Correct. I'll give you that for sure.
On Twitter, and you can all tweet about how like amazing the thing is. That you miss that moment. That like that's all that's left, right? Like like the Bulls games that I watch. There's no collective moment because no one's watching. So. So like that's so much less valuable than, for example, this finals game, which I'm missing right now because I'm making thumbnails, but like because there's like a collective moment. I think that's more important than the fact that it's sports or whatever. Just want to
I agree. Sports was more of a general thing, and that tends to be the large one. But you're right. A lot of Oscars and Emmys and the big award shows where live is the action as opposed to anything pre-recorded.
Well, the one. Not the one takeaway, but one of the biggest potentials or takeaways here is, yes, this may feel to some like it's backwards or it's unnecessary. However, there could always be that payoff that's slightly delayed. we could get a call. The Pro Tour Dynamic Disc could get a call in 6 months or in 12 months or in 18 months that says, hey, this is Subaru, or this is whatever company, this is Apple, whomever, and we want to get behind what you guys have going on. We love the demographic, we love the sport, we love, all these things, and that may or may not have been one of their introductions. So as we said, this might be a vehicle that allows you to go out and either attract or maybe tease out a little bit of advertising to someone else that might get on board. Because we all know, for the right price, it very easily could be the Subaru Disc Golf Pro Tour, 2022 season.
Oh, that's a
or
low
whatever
price
it
too.
is.
Let's be honest, that's a low price.
So whatever it ends up being. So those are things that could come of it, whether that's Under Armour or Coca-Cola or, like I said, Subaru or whatever. Now, is that pie in the sky? Yeah, maybe. But what do they say? If your idea is not crazy, you're not dreaming big enough, or something like that. So, I guess anything's possible.
A few other notes about this particular agreement that was made that's different than the one we saw earlier in the year. There's going to be, Jomez is going to be producing the show again, which is awesome. But this time there is no sort of delay in the next day coverage. So they are going to be able to put the next day coverage for the hardcore fans, for the people that always want to see it next day out there. There is going to be no restrictions on the live coverage. So we will not have to take that down like we did with the CBS. It can stay up behind the, on the YouTube for the final day, as we always put it, and the Disc Golf Network, where you see all the other days. Please subscribe to the Disc Golf Network. All those things. There's no sort of other restrictions. We are starting to get into a position where we have a little bit more leverage with those things. Now that we, the eyeballs are slightly more on us. We have a little bit more, as I said earlier, our thumbs on the scale a little bit, where we can kind of make some demands, or they can make accommodations, however you want to look at it. So that's a really cool thing.
And this goes hand in hand with the idea of look at our payout. One thing that is...
Do you think this is part of that?
I do, and I think one thing that people love to say is to be critical of our payouts in saying, oh yeah, so we're gonna show the world that we have this big event, or we're crowning world champ, and the winner is getting $2,800 or whatever, which is maybe what a great payout used to be for a world championship or something. But now, when you say no, first place is winning $20,000, that number, and even 15, of course, is very impressive. That number makes somebody at least like have a knee-jerk reaction, or twist their head or their neck around and be like, what? These people are winning $20,000 for throwing this Frisbee around in the woods? Like, no matter how you cut it, if you're not a fan or if you don't know what disc golf is, this should at least wake you up a little bit if it crosses your, if it crosses your underneath you. I don't know where I'm going with that.
I don't know where that analogy is moving to.
The point is, it should moves the needle. It should move a needle a little bit if you're at all made aware of any of this whatsoever. And I think it's pretty cool. So
I agree.
I don't know. Now my dad will love and accept me because some work that I do might be, damn it, on ESPN2.
You pretty much have to be on like maybe ESPN1 for your dad to love you, or
damn it.
Does your dad watch the Outdoor Channel? I could see your dad doing that. He's
that
kind of guy.
Yeah, he'll come around.
Yeah, maybe if you get on the Outdoor Channel.
Yeah. But Dad, I talk with Bushnell all the time now. He gave me a rangefinder.
Good call. Dad, # daddy issues.
All right. Let's move on. On. So it's very cool. And of course, Jeff Spring, our Pro Tour CEO, even said today, he's like, I almost feel bad making such a big announcement about all of this stuff as we're on the eve of the USDGC. He's not trying to detract in any way, but there's clearly this additional excitement. The payout's going to be great. The course is going to be great. The Pro Tour Championship is going to be this huge follow-up to our one major of the year, and I think that's all really, really good stuff. And you know who wins from that? The players win, the viewers win, hopefully the sponsors and the manufacturers win. I think everybody wins in this case. So pretty exciting stuff.
Awesome.
Mo, I guess I would ask you, I know you said that we want people, of course, to just be buying and getting the content, rights or airing it and paying us for that. But what do you feel like is maybe the next logical big step? Is it getting paid for this, or what's the next big milestone? Maybe that's a good word.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would be, them. Maybe they pay for the production.
That's
they produce
what I was
it.
thinking.
And then the step after that is, well, if they're paying for the production at that point, well, then it's like they're basically buying the rights at that point. So, I guess it would be like paying for the production.
Are we out of a job then, Tara?
No, we're gonna.
Maybe.
No.
Mo says no. I don't buy it.
Nah.
Dang it. I'll find a way to get myself fired.
It is kind of funny. The bigger disc golf gets, like the least likely that any of us will be needed. It's kind of funny.
So, say that again.
The less necessary.
Oh yeah.
Any of us
No,
will be.
I've said it 100 times. Like if disc golf ever hits it like big time, like we have that poker moment.
Yeah.
We're all out of jobs. Us, Jomez, CCDG, like they have production
man.
crews that come in and do this, like giant trucks with guys that are union that get paid lots of money to do filming, like the PGA, and they have guys that, satellite dishes on every hole. Like we are not covering events anymore because they're buying rights to them. Now, again, I've said maybe we can find a position inside that company because we have some inside knowledge, blah, blah, blah. But as production companies, if ESPN comes in and buys the rights to your event, they buy all the rights. They don't buy just usually, we're just going to have live, but you can have post-production. Odds are, now we're a unique sport, so maybe that changes, but in general, you don't see that like with any other sport. So I lean towards saying if we were to ever hit that big moment, it's great for disc golf and it's something we all want to see at some point. And hopefully, we can all rise with that tide, but odds are we're all out of a job. And
yes.
I'm okay. And that's something I'm okay with. We build this company.
Yeah, because you have another job, dude.
Yeah, I do. And and then I have one of the most popular effing podcasts on the sport. Boom. Yeah, poor Moe is never their job. I got
you get fired from that. Yeah. And to be fair, there's plenty of people that are saying, no, we love disc golf the size that it is. We don't want it to get bigger. We don't want the corporate sellouts. We don't need, people taking it over. And I know there's plenty of people that live in that space and that world as well. And that's fine as well. You're always going to have disc golf to go play. You're probably always going to have a place to play it either free or at a very inexpensive cost. And if those don't suit you, buy your own land and put your own 9 holes up. So, I think everything will work out just fine, and we could be light years away from some of this, or things could move quickly. It'll be interesting to see where the momentum takes us from these opportunities. That's for sure.
If we hit it big, Terry, I'm getting 2 cameras for our studio, not just the one I have to share. Yeah, 2.
As long as I can just leave and go go other places every week, so I can remote in. I don't know. It seems like it's a popular option.
Yeah, you look great right now, Terry.
Anyway, the other big news, kind of dipping back for a moment to USDGC, is that we saw Nate Sexton on social media today saying that he is withdrawing from the event. He something or other about Coling, I think, punched him in the kidneys during a warm-up match, is what I think I heard, and he wasn't able to recover. So
they were playing bloody knuckles for birdies, and he just couldn't make it.
So, but in all seriousness, Sexton said that he strained something during the 9 holes that he was playing with Coling. I think that I don't know if they were playing with or on for Jomez's channel, recording something is what I thought I heard. And so now we're going to see him as of today when he's officially withdrawn. It sounds like he may have some kind of on course field reporter. I don't know if they're going to check in with him or exactly how it's going to play out. I saw him and talked to him for a few moments today, but mainly I get that information from his Instagram feed.
Guess whose job he's trying to take?
Hannah's? When I'm not around? Maybe? No?
I don't know. For our audio viewers, I just had Terry on the screen only. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's basically going to be pulling the same duty that you, I think, normally do during the Disc Golf Network podcasts. He'll probably be checking in with the chase or lead card and, in general, getting some inside, behind-the-scenes kind of scoops. So we'll see how that goes. It's always fun to see different faces out on doing the live. And as I was saying, that guy doesn't look like he's going to get right up. It's like soccer. He's just faking it. I got to peek in on the broadcast today and got to listen to Ian and Philo, and it sounded good. So I'm excited to see what Nate can bring to the broadcast in that position, because he's clearly very well spoken. He knows what to and what not to say, and I think he's just an added professionalism to that broadcast. And on top of that, there's a lot of Nate Sexton fans. It can't hurt the broadcast numbers to have him as part of the group.
Yeah, for sure. We all know he's going to do just great, and we'll see how they utilize him. So he'll be doing that now. Just to clarify, for the 101st time, Nate will be part and doing those check-ins. It sounds like in the morning we're going to have Juliana Corver along with Hannah Macbeth. Those two will be calling the shots from the booth in the morning for the FPO. In the afternoon, it's going to be Philo and Ian, and then also have Nate out on the course. Now, I don't think Nate's going to necessarily be doing stuff in the morning on the FPO side, but I only say that because that's what Hannah thought. And of course, who knows what gets decided on in the next 8 or 10 hours. But
yeah, I had seen some things that possibly, again, Christine Jennings might be doing some stuff, but I don't know if she's playing offhand. So if not, then she's probably going to be doing some media sideline stuff, just like Nate is doing in the afternoon, but that could totally be scratched. And for those of you who are wondering about the condensed coverage that you paid for, the extra $10, that is, I believe, going to be, for the FPO, it'll be Ian and Juliana, and then Ian and Philo for the MPO from Central Coast. Their goal is to have it be more or less exactly like their normal post-production coverage. I know we had talked earlier about what exactly condensed means, because they didn't phrase it as post-production like we normally have. And it sounded like, according to Ian, that they're going to try to do their standard post-production style coverage.
Which is going to make for
a busy weekend for Ian? Yes.
Yeah. He's going to be calling the shots. And then as his team continues to put together the shot-by-shot coverage in the early evening, then he will then sit down and do commentary again so he's going to be a busy man. And I saw him and a lot of the Central Coast crew were out playing somewhere in Charlotte tonight. It looked like maybe they were at Fuel Park. I don't know where they were tonight, but I know they were out golfing. And now it's giddy up and go time tomorrow for those guys. So we wish them the best of luck.
There's been a lot of questions. Have you seen the champ on the course? Have you seen Kenny anywhere?
I didn't see him today. I kind of hung out around the course for a few hours. I wasn't necessarily out there, with my Bushnell binoculars trying to find him, but I did not see him at any point or have any conversation. And then also Sam had just asked a moment ago about Nate Sexton's withdrawal, and does that then possibly, grant somebody else from Monday qualifying? No, they really don't do it that way, and understandably so. And here's a perfect example. Let's just say that they have Monday qualifying yesterday. The 5 people got in. There was a playoff. There's 5 people and only 5 people that get in. Depending where you live and where you came from, you might have finished in 6th, or you lost in that playoff in 5th. You might have went home, and that might be across the country, or that might be 2 or 4 or 6 hours from now, but you went home. So I don't know when they would have that good cutoff to then, let's just say Nate withdrew, and we'll just say he withdraws 2 hours ago. Are you going to call back that person that finished in 6th? And then what if they miss the call? And then do you just automatically go to the person that finished in 7th at the qualifying? Like, that's why they don't mess with any of that stuff. They just take the top 5. And I'll even say this: if you're in the top 5 and then you made the Monday qualifying and then you wake up sick on Wednesday morning and you were the 4th person to qualify, they still don't dip down. So it just, I think it could get too messy and convoluted, and then somebody's going to be poisoning somebody else's, breakfast Danish, and I don't know.
I don't think that happens, Terry. This isn't Game of Thrones.
I don't think that's a thing, but yeah. So the Bushnell Climo Finder, I like that, Ryan. Good call.
That would be pretty great.
So yeah, we saw all of that today unfold, and then in a slightly more serious tone, we did see an announcement by Innova today. They released, I'll say, a statement. I almost called it a letter or a statement, addressing more conversation around Josh Anthon, his tattoo, what the status is of all of that. And then in one of the follow-ups, I actually saw Josh make a statement via video that was then released, and I'll say the long and short of it is that he is planning on getting the tattoo either covered and or removed. I'm going to guess in some form it's going to be covered.
I think covered is what he had said. Terry, without getting too much into this, as we've dipped our toe into this pool, and we've been bitten by a shark. Would you say that Josh was negligent in how the tattoo came across to other people?
What I'd like to say is that I don't want to say I don't even want to talk about, but I don't want to even speculate.
Okay.
Further on that, and only because I don't feel like us speculating does anyone any good.
You're probably right.
Because I don't want somebody to say, well, you were speculating this, so you must feel that way. I do. I have talked to Josh, and I feel like that's a conversation that is just between Josh and I. Josh has obviously had lots of conversations with other players, with Innova, maybe or maybe not with the PDGA directly. Those are all conversations that are just, I do not feel like I'm in a position to either relate or possibly misconstrue anything in any way, shape, or form. We made our statement last week as to where we stand. That obviously is all still true. However, I don't want to possibly convolute anything that Josh, whether it's his intentions or his beliefs, it's just not. That's where I stand on that. So you can read his statement. I understand there was already backlash about it. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. That's all for you to decide as well. That's where the situation is, and that's what we wanted to update you. So that is all out there via Innova and I think Josh.
Yeah, you can find some of that stuff. I know Innova made a post on Instagram. I think it was on their Facebook. Yeah, you're right. Somewhere is the Josh video where he addresses the situation as well. So
there's your update. And like I said, I'm not doing anybody a service by either second guessing or speculating. I just don't think it does us any good.
Okay.
There was something else about here at the USDGC as well. I mean, just how crazy with just the amount of things going on. Obviously from a political sphere, which we don't also get into, but just politically, like the world is in a whole continued ruptured place with the pandemic and our president and everything else. It's truly incredible where things are at. I don't have much more here for us, Johnny, in terms of the regular show. I do feel like we hit all of the major topics: the USDGC, the Jonesboro wrap-up, the United States Women's National Championships, which is teeing in 6 or 8 or 10 hours, the live coverage, post-production stuff, the Pro Tour payout, and the ESPN announcement, an update on Josh. I think we've crammed all of it in, which is...
Real quick, I feel we do an injustice. Josh from UDisc just posted. There is a big charity that goes on every year, the Chains for Charity. You can find some more information up at udisclive.com. So get your charity picks in for that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I know Bushnell has paired with UDisc to do some bracket type stuff, so go check that out as well. UDisc, those are good guys. I always like to keep promoting them because I hope that in the long run they're going to give me a discount someday on whatever when they hit it big, and I can somehow ride their coattails. So cool, Josh and Matt, you guys are awesome. I love you. Good job.
I love you more.
No.
Just throwing that out there.
No,
and I saw Dan the man today.
He literally talks smack about you behind your back. Like, we turn this
but
off.
I saw Dan today.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
Okay, let's wrap this up. We'll get into some after show talk real quick.
Yeah, we will give it a full wrap up here. So, thank you guys for joining us. Mo, thanks for hanging out there in studio and giving us your insights and the background information.
I was honestly,
we do look.
I feel like every second I was talking was a second I wasn't working, and I felt bad about it. I just want. The thumbnail is up, by the way. If you guys want to go on,
that's all they want to know.
If you go on Disc Golf Network, you can now click the thing that says that the thing is tomorrow, round 1, Wednesday. Yeah. Thank you to our media coordinator Sam Gaddis, who got me this beautiful picture of Winthrop. So.
Yes. So Mo, who's pulling triple duty as always. Thanks for joining us on the sidelines there, Mo. Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been SmashBox TV's podcast 318. Stick around because we may have some other nonsense, maybe even a giveaway or two when you guys join us in the after show. Again, Terry, Mo, Johnny, we'll see you soon when you step inside the SmashBox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxTV.
Yeah. Oh, it's called buy a house, bro. Yeah, sounds really forward thinking. Yeah. Oh, my mic's on, guys. Good call. And 18th after Snack Show,
Hot Mic Show. Sorry, Terry.
318 episodes in, and Johnny can't cut the mic when I need to talk trash and finish up a couple of fries.
Yeah, no,
they're now cold. Thanks.
Because we had Mo in here and I was switching back and forth between the Mo shot and our shot, I just left your audio hot so that I knew I wouldn't disconnect it accidentally. Because you're on our Skype call, which if I go to the 2 shot, sometimes you're not in. And so when I didn't think about it, when I have a button that I press to run all the after show stuff. It doesn't turn your mic off, that button. So everyone got to hear you talk with your mouth full.
Yes. Well, I appreciate everyone blurting out the hot mic. There was a little story, Mo, Johnny, all of us talking, and then clearly you just heard me replying back to Mo. And when I said he should buy a house, he's residence hunting in the Chicagoland area, and hence what you heard me say, buy a house. And then you heard me munch on a couple of fries.
I'll take that out of the audio podcast, but everyone will get it for the YouTube. Now, Mo is just moved to Chicago. I think he's currently residing with his parents, everybody's favorite thing to do when they're in their upper 20s and lower 30s. Yeah. His wife just got a job at a university in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Is it University of Chicago?
It is University of Chicago.
Do not say Chicago University.
Not University of Illinois at Chicago. Not Chicago State University. University of Chicago. There's like a million of them.
I feel like you're throwing some shade here, like indirectly.
Well, I am. Okay, so I'd be lying to you if I was saying that I wasn't throwing a little shade. No, I mean UIC is also a great school. Like it's also like an awesome place. I had a lot of really good friends go to UIC. What? It's just not you. It's like one of the things. And when you go to high school in the north suburbs or Illinois or whatever, and you say, I'm going to University of Chicago, and the first thing anyone says is, oh, University of Illinois at Chicago, that's great, we love that place. And then it's like, no, University of Chicago, Hyde Park's further south. It's just always a little tricky.
Classist. He's classist.
I'm classist.
It's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so as you said, Mo, is it just a matter of how far you want the commute?
What's your life question you wanted to ask us, Mo, in the after show? Because this is what this is going to turn into. It's kind of like Ann Landers. You're probably too young for that reference.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I know. God, we're so old. Who gives life advice? Like, if you had to think of somebody famous that gives life advice to other people, who is that?
I guess DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled? Does he have like a podcast where he gives life advice?
I don't know. That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yes. Okay. Anyway,
like some positive
Johnny,
motivational.
Do you know who that is? Let me back up, Johnny.
I know who DJ Khaled is. Yeah, he's the guy that's basically. I feel like he has very little talent, but he's in every rap video. He's very good he's very good at organizing people.
He's the producer. Producers don't do anything.
Coming from my producer from the show, like, and he's also the guy in the toothbrush commercial where he goes like, one more.
Yeah,
one more, like, and another. Yeah. So I know who he is. I'm not out of the loop, Terry. I'm hip with the kids, as they say.
Yeah, you definitely are. So, especially after you told me how you work Instagram, which was, you should show Mo later how you process and work your Instagram account. But anyway,
I'll show Mo that later. How Instagram. I basically don't pay attention to anybody other than stories. It's at the top. I go story. I don't scroll up and down at all on Instagram. I go through the stories, and if it's not there, I don't care about it.
That's interesting.
Like, it doesn't. Yeah, like I'm just.
I don't know. I mean, you consume your media however you want.
That's right.
It's just another form of media.
So Mo, what's your question? How?
I guess so me and my wife looked at 3 different places. We looked at 3 or 4 places today, and so last week we went to Chicago and we looked at a bunch of places and they all sucked. And this week it was the exact opposite, where every place was awesome. And so we're trying to balance now, like, do we spend a little bit more for a place that has a sick view? Do we spend less on a place that's like pretty cool but doesn't have the same sick view, but it's still great? Or do we spend a lot more for a nice place with a sick view? So those are the 3 levels. There's nice place, sick
and these
view.
are all apartments. So
these
everyone
are all
knows.
apartments, yeah.
In
Hyde Park.
In Hyde Park.
Well, Hyde Park, Kenwood area, so like 50th Street in Chicago. So there's nice place with nice view, very expensive. There's okay place with great view, medium. And then there's there's a nice above average place with the worst of the 3 views, but still a good view.
What's the good, like when you say good view for the worst place,
So-
what am I seeing?
It's just like looking at it's looking at like basically you can see the lake, which is nice. It's always great. And you're basically looking at like downtown Hyde Park, and it's very green and there's a lot of trees and stuff. It's still like very beautiful, but the view of one of the places is just like Chicago skyline on the lake. And like it feels like, I looked at my wife, I'm like, we can't afford this. And she's like, absolutely, we actually can. We both have jobs now. And I'm like, oh man, like it's weird because we both went there for undergrad. So we're both still in that like, we are poor college students mindset. And we're looking at places that we like, there's a place called Regents, which is like this apartment building in Hyde Park. It's been there forever. And when we were undergrads, we'd always look at the Regents kids like, man, like we'd always hate the kids that got on the Regents bus because it's like we would never be able to live there. And now it's like we could live in Regents. It's like, but anyway, I guess when I asked JVD this earlier, like how important is a view to you, Terry? Like how important is a sick view out of your apartment window?
Here's what I'll say to that. And clearly everyone at different phases in their life and what's important. And I understand, I mean, that's ultimately what will make your decision. How much time are you going to spend at home? I mean, are you homebodies? Do you enter? I know the answer.
I spend more time in JVD's basement than I do at home.
Are you going to be entertaining people that come over to your house? Hard
no.
Like, I don't know why. I mean, there's so many things I would do differently if I could now rewind 15 or 20 years. And financially, I feel like I've been pretty fiscally responsible. I would be so much more fiscally responsible if I could do it all over again. So to hear you talk about spending so much more money on a view, unless it brings you so much joy day in and day out,
right?
To me, I think that's crazy. I absolutely think it's crazy. I think you see the world in so many other different ways, and unless you're sitting and unless a view inspires you to create because you primarily work for home, or a view is something you need for 8 hours of meditation a day, and if it gives you those things, I fully support it. If it doesn't, it seems crazy. It seems crazy to me.
Right,
I would save your money.
Go for the cheaper place. So you guys, both of you are saying you'd rather have the money in the long run.
Yes.
So I'm going to 10 years from now, I'm going to be 40 and I'm going to be like, I really wish I had that extra like $500 a month in rent.
Because that $500 a month in rent compounds. Take that time. I mean, you were an economics major, right?
Yeah, I was.
See, you take that $500 times 12, that's $6,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
You compound that for 10 years. That's, you got $60,000 plus whatever interest. You're looking at, if you're lucky, maybe $80,000 after 10 years, depending on how you invest it and what you do. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's a year's salary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so, yes, in 10 years, is a year's salary worth a good view to you? I mean, and granted, shit could hit the fan. Your stock market could drop. You could lose all your money, and then you like, God damn, I wish I had that view. But
no, you'll never go back and be like, man,
no, I know.
I know. Really missed out on a good view for 10 years. Like, no one will say that.
I know.
Like,
I'm just kidding.
You'll miss out on. You won't have the money to travel the rest of the world and see new and unique things. There's so many other places. If you're not saving it, which obviously saving is the best thing. If you're not saving, there's so many other more beneficial ways that I think that money could or should be spent. That's me personally. Again, if you need a view to complete yourself or to complete some kind of, I don't know, inner peace, then go for it. But
how long do you think you're going to live here? Like, how long do you expect your wife to have this job? For a while?
I mean, hopefully a while.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? As a resident, hopefully she gets tenure at this college, and you're there for a good amount of time.
Exactly.
Your priorities may change in 2 years or 3 years. You may look and go like, no, we really maybe do want a house somewhere, or a condo. You might want to buy a condo in Chicago, knowing you.
That's another question I have for y'all. What's a co-op, and how is it different than a condo? Do you guys know the answer to that question?
What's a what?
A co-op versus a condo.
because one of the places we looked at that was pretty nice was a co-op. And
I think that means other people can just come in your house and live there.
Yeah.
the squatters. Just kind of like how I come into your
Yeah,
house.
yeah. I mean, my basement's a co-op right now.
Yeah, an unintentional one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how a co-op works or what that means relative to living situations. Is that possibility where maybe you're on an assignment and maybe you live there for 6 months and then somebody else actually lives or co-leases it for 6 months? I don't know in terms of living arrangements what a co-op exactly means. It sounds like something technical you'd have with a lady or a man friend that you don't want to commit to. That's what it sounds like. Hey, you want a co-op? Sure.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things we have to research more. But yeah, I'm excited to be back in Chicago though. Be back. Although my wife's from California, so
Has she ever had to deal with real snow?
well she went to.
She went there. That's
she
right.
went there
That's
for
right.
4 years. So
No, I'll take this. Like, has she ever had to deal with real snow?
Exactly.
She's lived in it.
Exactly.
But as
she's not like
as an apartment owner, granted, you still don't have to deal with it because you're not probably in charge of shoveling and snow blowing, and like you just have to kind of look at it. And,
yeah. And the south side doesn't get shoveled the same way the north side does.
Well, no, it's the south side.
But
I mean, that's where the White Sox are. Hey, well,
hey,
I
no,
don't know
I love
what
the
that
White
means.
Sox. But yeah, no, it'll be that's one of the things I feel like the Midwest really growing up here really taught me is that like there's actually no weather anywhere else. Because I was living in New York and people in Connecticut and all the New England people were like, bro, it gets so cold here and then it gets really hot in the summer. And I'm like, actually, it doesn't. Actually, it's never been.
You have like a week and then you're done.
It's never been cold in Connecticut. For as long as Connecticut has existed, it's never been cold. It's never been cold in New York City. It's never been hot in New York City. I've never felt heat or cold like it grows in your bones when you're in Chicago.
It's like, I mean, I know they say that, but it truly is the humidity. It wrecks you.
Oh yeah.
And it's different in the Midwest versus the East Coast. I mean, I'm sure they get hot, but yeah.
I mean,
well, Mo, thankfully the board came to your rescue, and I'll read a few of these because I'm sure the listeners are dying to know, like, what the hell is a co-op?
Okay.
It says usually you have a board you have to apply to, is what Josh says. Chris says a co-op is just like a condo, except the entire building is owned by everybody with assigned apartments.
Oh, interesting.
So you kind of own. So it's like communism. You're right up your alley.
That's hilarious.
Also, Joe says a co-op owner has an interest or share in the entire building and a contract or lease that allows the owner to occupy a unit. While a condo owner owns a unit, a co-op owner does not own the unit.
Interesting.
So it's like it's like a stricter lease, rental. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I feel like
Anyway.
this is like so boring.
No, this is great. This is the after show.
Is this after show material?
This is after show material.
Hey,
Okay.
Mo, it's either you bore us or Johnny bores us. It's
One or
of
the
two.
other. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah. So I guess we have to decide like a week ago.
So how is living with your parents?
It's been pretty awful. So it's not been good.
As a 30-year-old man.
As a 30-year-old man living with my parents, it's been like on the short list. Like my parents are great and they don't for the most part, they just kind of like leave me alone, which is, God bless them, because they kind of but I'm not like easy to get along with either. Like I need a very specific set of circumstances. It's just been, so my parents are Arab, because I'm Arab. And anyway,
makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
You could have been adopted, but we'll just go with what you have.
So my parents are both Iraqi, and they came of age when Saddam Hussein took power, and
probably not the easiest time in the.
Yeah. So let's just say they have like a mistrust just generally of things. They just don't trust anything. My parents think most controversies or most conspiracies are true, because they come from a world where the government literally has a state-run media that's putting out fake news. So my dad, while we were growing up, watching the news, just normal like CNN or whatever, or ABC or anything, and you just feel like, yeah, I don't believe that. So, I would just say Americans in general have, like, at least until recently, have way more trust in the news and media and stuff generally. So like, let's just say that Corona is not like,
it's not taken as seriously as you would like it.
Yeah.
From what I understand, from talking to Mo, Mo and I have become pretty friendly down here chatting. It sounds like your family doesn't necessarily take the precautions that you and your wife would prefer.
I feel like we're just maybe a little more serious than they are about it. And yeah, that's been, let's just say there may or may not have been a party like a couple of days ago at our house where actually, no, it was Saturday, right? It was Saturday. I came home from Jonesboro, and I just started hearing like Arab music, like just blaring, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I guess this is what this is, and I just like, yeah. So that's been the interesting part. But other than that, it's been fine. You know, my parents have they're both done pretty well for themselves, so it's a big enough house where we don't feel like we're really
intruding or anything
on top of each other. And yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I don't know,
man. And how, I mean, I know the housing market, we're way in the after show tonight. The housing market's crazy in a lot of places with people just, you know, houses. I know Christine Jennings has been even really vocal about this recently too, that, you know, houses go up and they're instantly bought at or above asking price, like the day they go up.
Thanks, Nightberry title.
How is the rental market and the things that you're looking into?
So that's actually been really interesting because like a bunch of places have like all these deals now on top of the rent being lower, but they're like, if you rent with us now, we'll give you the first month free, and if you rent with us now, you won't have to pay the application fee or all this stuff. So
I saw like I want to say a schedule that if you agreed to more than a 12-month rent, your rent dropped significantly.
Yeah.
Like it was like, hey, if you rent with us for 12 months, you pay $2,000. But if you sign 18 months, it goes down to $1,500 per month.
Yeah.
And like that's stuff that I don't feel like existed when I was younger, because we would stay in a place for a few years and it was always the same rent or went up every month.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's been good. I think housing prices have gone a lot up and rental prices have gone a lot down because folks are moving out of the city. It was wild when I was living in New York City, and we kind of knew we were gonna move, but like, you know, I'd go on my run every day and I'd see I swear I saw a rental like a U-Haul at least once a day on one of the blocks when you're just walking around. Like I felt like there was a flight out of New York City, which was kind of crazy to see. And yeah, that was, I mean, it's just weird. Like I've never seen New York like that before, but yeah.
Yeah, wow. I think about, obviously how vibrant. I know I saw something in the news about schools, even more schools shutting down in New York. And it's just incredible to think about, what that city is like and everything that must be going on there still, as a place that I've found myself getting to almost once a year for the last few years while we were out on the East Coast. I can't even imagine what things are like out there right now. So
yeah, dude, I loved living there. New York City was seriously like
this is the
coolest place to live.
This
ever.
is gonna be the hardest part for Mo, because Mo hates in general, like
happiness.
Well, other than happiness, Mo. I'll give it. Mo complains. He's like, how do people live? I can't just walk 15 feet and get like
Tacos?
Chinese food, tacos, Thai food, Australian food. Like he's like, in New York, I can turn around and some guy's throwing food at me and I don't know what to do. But here, you have to go like 3 miles to get your Panda Express.
No, so I was because like, okay, so the context for that story, because I was at my parents' house and I had to drive for 20. Like I was like, I want Culver's. Culver's is one of my favorite places. It reminds me of home. It reminds me of growing up because I'm from here. And my wife had never had Culver's, so I was like, let's go get Culver's. That sounds great. And we had to drive 20 minutes to get Culver's. That's insane.
Okay, well that is extreme. That's extreme.
That's
I give
insane.
you that.
If I drive 20 minutes, I can hit 4 different Culvers from my house.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just like, that was just like, like the whole time we were driving, I was like, how are we not there yet? We've been driving for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I love living in New York. I will miss it dearly. And I hope at some point I'll get to go back. It was like, compared to New York, Chicago feels like the suburbs. Like, it really does. Like, I don't know. It's, it was a really great experience living there, and I would not trade it for anything.
All right. Well, but no, bringing that full circle though, I'll follow that up and say, when you move to New York, when anyone moves to New York, and I think this is a pretty fair question, are you all but making your disc golf career or your disc golf playing either a real pain in the ass or just simply non-existent?
Oh yeah, I retired. I retired Terror Bear.
Okay.
I sold my car because there's no point in having one. And had I known that we were going to have a global pandemic, I maybe would not have sold my car, because then I could drive out of the city every once in a while instead of being like trapped there. But yeah, without a car, it was just like you're kind of at the mercy of whoever is willing to drive you out to Warwick or drive you out to Kisco or drive you out to FDR or whatever. And Chicago is honestly not that much better. Like there's
not if you're downtown. I mean, there's very little. You're driving 20 minutes to a course.
I think the closest course to me in Hyde Park is going to be like 50 Acre Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ever down in Evergreen? Or like they have the Evergreen Open is maybe what it's called.
Yeah. So that
okay.
I think that's my closest course, and it's still going to be a half hour away.
Yeah, but within like 45 minutes, you're going to have a lot more courses in the Chicago area than you will have in New York, just based on, I mean, like shout out to Dana. Yeah. I just assume Dana might put in every course in Chicago, but I know he hasn't.
There's also Lemon
Lake.
That's nearby.
Yeah.
That's relatively nearby. It's in Indiana, right?
Yeah. If you're talking Lemon Lake, you can go down to Indiana.
Southside is like practically in Indiana.
That's probably a half hour to 40-minute drive if I had to take a guess. Plus, you have to pay the toll. Gosh. Tolls.
Yeah. My dad would always say, whenever we like what I think it's like 294 or 94.
Sure.
My dad would say like, I'd say, oh, there's still like, I'd come back from university or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, they're still working on that road. And he's like, Mahmoud, since I came to this country till now, they've been working on this road. It's not gonna end anytime soon. So
that's great.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've got lots of golf, and Ryan Pilcher, one of our biggest, most favorite smashies out there, is just on the Illinois-Wisconsin border over there. I know Dan Harbeck's in that neighborhood, and Dan's not playing as much, but lots of guys telling you to come out and play some golf.
No,
you've already got smashy friends
that
want you to come out and play.
I think I'm done. I think I'm over it. I just like, I really like, my favorite part of disc golf is like the like quiet alone time, and like the I really liked like the getting like better aspect of it. Like I like that it's like very meditative. You're just like doing the same thing over and over and getting better at it slowly. And
Mo calls his friends to make sure they're not going out to the course the same time he does.
Hey man, are you going out? Are you golfing today? Oh yeah, what course? Oh, 3 o'clock. Perfect. Won't see you there.
Yes, that's Mo.
Well, it's actually
I'm gonna be done by 9:30 a.m. Okay, I'm at a different course later.
It's actually so funny you say that, because so we have our team page, like New England Team Challenge is like a huge deal in New England, and that's all my friends in New England, and people would always post, and we also have a Connecticut disc golf page where people would post like, hey guys, going to go play Paige at 1, who wants to come? And for the life of me, every time I saw one of those posts, I was like, I cannot imagine like posting in a public forum and saying, anyone come play with me. I like, that's insane. Like, I'm okay with like, I'll call you and we'll because I know you and you're my friend and we'll go play. But just like open call, anyone in Connecticut can come play with me. What if they suck? What if they're like not and I don't mean like how they throw. I mean just like
a person.
What if there's just not like cool
like dude? He walks up and slaps you in the ass and like, hey Mo, let's go.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
Like what?
Giving you noogies, like good dudes.
I don't want that. Like I want my playing to be in a very controlled environment. Like one of my best friends in Connecticut, Joe Madursky, like I was like, I'm gonna play with Joe, and that's about it. I'm gonna like, and we would just meet up and play a course, and and I didn't want to play. Like we were the same skill level. It was great. It was a good like, I don't know. Like I like my. You have so little time. I don't want to spend it not
happy,
or
so not as happy as you get,
as happy as I can get. But yeah, that was always wild to me. That people were posting like, "Hey, I'm going to Paige at 1."
People just like to play, man. They want to meet people.
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah. See now, and here's it's funny you say that because it was a week or so ago. I had posted that I needed to get a league round in for Milwaukee, and it kind of rotates around courses. And Dustin, who you've met, super great guy, but couldn't go during the week like we'd done the previous 11 weeks. So I made a post within the confines of this league, of which there's quite a few people I don't know or haven't met because I'm not in Milwaukee as often as I used to be. And I said, hey, I'm looking to play around. And someone said, hey, if you don't mind playing with a chatty 8-year-old, we'd love to join you. And sure enough, never meeting before in person, we met up at the course. And we ended up having this really fun round. I played well. Everybody played well. It got marked down for our league round. And then I got to know this 8-year-old that's going to eventually be one of the top players in our game. And you can mark it down now. Mark the tape. I know that carries a lot of weight these days, but mark the tape. He's going to be a phenomenal player, assuming he sticks with the game, this kid. And like, I would have never otherwise had that opportunity
for sure
to meet him, to play with him, and to have this experience. And now granted, things obviously went really well. They could have been miserable people. They weren't. But I know what you're saying. You want your disc golf time
it's me time. It's me time.
Me time and somewhat controlled, but at the same time, like I just genuinely cherish those moments because when I got to meet his name is Liam, this 8-year-old, and I posted a picture with him on my Instagram a week or two ago. Like it was an awesome experience, and so that's what you're missing out on, Mo. But I mean, if you hate people, you hate people.
I don't hate people.
You should get a lot of friend requests now.
No, it's not. I don't want to get it misconstrued that I like hate people. I don't. It's just like I'm very, very introverted. I'm very, very shy, and it takes a lot for me to like break that. So like it's really, really hard for me to like have conversations. Like if I'm talking a lot, like I am right now, it's because I'm nervous. Like most of the time, it's if I'm like, because like people go to like in college, I would go to parties because I would have to because the track team would force me to, and I would, people are like, oh, you're so personable. You're really outgoing. I'm like, no, this is me talking because I'm terrified right now. This is like a
it's like a nervous twitch. Like you just feel like you have to fill the air.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's not, yeah. I guess I would say like,
because you're afraid to hear what other people say for fear of them becoming your friend. Like if you start to find interest in people, you might like, hey, I might like that person. So if you fill the air, you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I didn't know I was going to get psychoanalyzed on Smashbox.
All right, Mo. So speaking of all of this kind of will segue a little bit is you just said something about saying dumb stuff and or talking too much. What's going to be the project a little? What's going to be the biggest flub that you're going to hear by either myself or possibly, but not likely, Jamie Thomas?
No,
what's going to be the biggest flub? Yeah, he's too good. That's why I say, what dumb thing am I going to say this weekend?
You're definitely going to call the USDGC the WNC or the WNC the USDGC. One of the you're gonna like we're at the USDGC, but it'll be the women's national championship.
Oh, for sure. Okay, that's fair. The WNC doesn't flow off anyone's tongue.
No.
Yeah, because it's so new. Okay.
Yeah. So.
I probably won't. I haven't called Simon Eagle or Eagle Simon in forever.
But how often have they played together? They're playing together this round, and we're only going to see them for a few holes.
Yeah. I don't know. You'll probably call like something OB when it isn't. I don't know. Like I have no idea. It's really hard to be on TV. I think a lot of people watch it and they're like, I could talk about disc golf, and it's like, actually, it's really, really tough to just talk like that like, I have so much respect for Jamie and Nate and Val and you, and when you're in the booth, and just being able to kind of talk for that long and not like
not shut up.
and not like make coherent
Correct.
thoughts. Like it's so hard to keep track of what's going on, and I think that gets lost. And I don't like people watching. I don't think they can realize that like Jamie is like hearing the voices in his head the whole time. Like,
Correct. That's the crazy thing part to me, that the guys in the booth, and granted, usually it's not like we try to be relatively punchy with, and sorry Mo, me a little bit better than you, with how we interact with the guys in the booth in their ear, because normally the microphone will be like, mine is pushed away so they don't have to hear me calling cameras, but Mo has to pop in and say like, okay, we have a graphic next, and it's about Paige Pierce and what she's shooting, her circle 1 percentage, and he tries to get it out as fast, and he tries to do it when they're at a break,
or when
they're not talking, or when Nate's talking and Jamie's listening. Like we try to do that, but sometimes you can't, and you have to talk while they're talking, and you just, the fact that they can get through it is a whole nother thing, because you and I can see it when we make them stumble.
Oh yeah.
But other people might not, because they just see a pause.
Yeah.
Like they just see someone, like Nate will be like, oh, and that
my
putt will be for a birdie.
I
and
hate it so much.
I know.
It tilts me so much when I like.
It comes with the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people would be surprised, or maybe not, to know. And that's not to say we don't make plenty of mistakes out there, but you'd be surprised to learn just how often, when there is a pause in anything that we're saying, it's usually because something else is being said to us, and we're trying to process that while you're mid-sentence or mid-thought. Mm-hmm. I would say probably 98% of the time, when someone has a pause or just completely loses train of thought of where they're going with something during our broadcast, I think that's for Nate, Val, myself, Jamie. If it happens for anyone, it's usually because somebody, Johnny or Mo, is talking, and they're calling something from the show, or they're doing something else, or they're directly speaking to you, and you're trying to process that while you're still trying to talk or to interact with whatever else you're doing. It's something you have to work through.
I know we said this before, but like you had said, when you watch the NBA now, you're watching with a slightly different eye on how they handle things. I was watching the Packer game last night, and it was like, what was that, Terry?
Go on. I asked this very question of Jamie and Sam tonight as to how interviewers, do they have people talking in their ear at the Packer game? Like when that I don't know her name, but she was asking Aaron Rodgers questions after the game last night, and I'm watching that thinking, wow, is somebody talking in her ear? Are they giving her updates? Is she doing that all on her own? Like, I want to know the behind the scenes.
No, for sure. She's definitely doing it on her own, but she probably has she definitely has the producer in her ear. She 100% does.
Yeah. And I was watching
though.
It's probably just like, it's probably wrap it up is probably the only command she gets.
Yeah. And I was watching the game. It was 3rd down.
I have to go, by the way. It's really late.
And I'm sitting on the couch, and suddenly they go to a replay of something, and they come back, and it was 1st down. And I was like, what the? They completely missed an entire play. And
happens to everybody.
And I was just like, oh, look. They did it too. And then they screwed up the graphics at the bottom at one point, and I pointed it out to my son. I was like, Mason, look how they mess up the graphics. He's like, yeah, so? I'm like, they make mistakes too, just like I do, except they're doing it in front of
yours are okay.
No, I didn't say they were. I'm like, except that they're being watched by millions and millions of people.
Right, exactly.
So
we're not, because of your mistakes.
Because of my mistakes, we're not watching. If I didn't make any mistakes, millions of people would show up. That's what I get to. Let's give something away, Terry Miller. We have a Patreon. I think.
All right, I think I'm gonna head out.
Mo's gonna leave.
I gotta go.
Let's give Mo away. How about a round of
a round with Mo?
Mo.
This is only for people in the Chicago area. If you're not, you get to shoot a round with Mo.
Please don't.
We'll take the. He's taking the headphones off. He cannot hear us anymore. He's going to shut it on his computer.
Or you get to go to Mo's house and check out the beautiful view and have dinner with him.
That's right. What a great after show. Let's give something away, Terry Miller. I was just about to ask, can you get something for the USDGC? But you probably can't. There's no pro shop, so never mind about that. let's we'll figure something out.
Hot chunky salsa?
No.
Sounds like a good night.
Yeah. Sure. Let's give away a disc, Terry Miller. What do you want to? How do you want to give away a?
How about the? Well, I mean, ESPN2 is part of the big news tonight. So I think the second number that you pull there, let's give that away to somebody.
All right, let me pull this up here. We have 199 entrants. If you would like to be eligible for this, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and become a patron at any level. The more you give, the more we love. That's how it works. We have a new secret level at the $20 level, which gives you a round with Mo once a month. So if you are a Patreon level, a Patreon supporter at the $20 level, you can have a round with Mo in the Chicago area. Now you have to get there yourself, but you do get to pick the course. So that's how it works. So
we'll even tell you what time he's going to be there.
Again, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, or you can go to our website and go to like weekly winners, smashbox.com, smashbox.tv/weekly winners. I believe is that what it is. You can be Mo. You can get here as early as I'll say 9 a.m. 8:30. 8:30.
I'll take my computer.
I'll give you 8:30.
No, I should just take my computer.
Okay, take your computer. All right, so we're going to do two. We have 199 people eligible for this giveaway. We're going to do the second number. The first number, I can't click that generate. I have to click this one, is 102. The second number is 171. So let me bring up my spreadsheet and find out who 171 is.
It feels so weird. I'm not watching it like right next to you. Usually
I know. It's Seth Steinway. Congratulations, Seth Steinway.
Hails from the Fox Cities area.
Oh, does he?
I think so.
Nice. Well, congratulations, Seth. We'll work with Terry. You'll get an email in the next couple of days about making sure that is eligible for you, or not. You're not eligible, that you'll get it, or whatever I meant to say.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, he is definitely in close enough proximity that he could throw with Mo as well.
Oh yeah, he could definitely. So unfortunately, he is only at the dollar level. He needs to up his pledge by at least $19 a month in order to get the round with Mo. It's something to work on.
That's not actually happening, is it?
Sure. Okay, Mo. Yeah, no, it's not happening.
No, we won't tell you where they're going to be. And Seth Steinway is currently watching. So
awesome, Seth.
Who's live?
Congratulations, Seth. We'll give you Mo's information. You can contact him for your round with Mo.
No, you're gonna make him nervous.
I know. That's why I drove Mo out. You make Seth nervous or Mo? I'm not sure which one.
That's a good call.
Yes. Hashtag throw with Mo. That's the new hashtag.
That's smart.
Whoever
came up with that, that's really good.
I'm a big fan of it.
I'm not sure if it's Ray, came up with that, or if Sam came up with that, but congratulations. The only other thing I want to say is if you happen to have, I think it's Apple TV, the service, you need to do yourself a favor and watch Ted Lasso. It quite honestly could be the best show on TV.
Wow.
It makes me happy. It makes me smile. It's about an American football coach who gets brought over to England to coach a soccer team, and it's in general just there's nothing cynical about it. It's just a good program. You can, for the most part, watch it with I would say any kid over the age of 8 or 9. And there's a little bit of swearing, but ultimately it is so good. I can't stress how good Ted Lasso is. So, and it is only on. See you later, Mo. It is only on Apple TV. I think you get a free subscription if you have an iPhone, or maybe you buy an iPad, or I don't know. Or you can also subscribe another way. But Ted Lasso is so good, and it's so fun, and it brings a smile to my face. And I'm really disappointed that I've already gone through the entire first season, and there's not a second season yet.
All right, well, UDisc Josh says that Ted Lasso rocks. So you are in fine company there, is getting the stamp of approval. Stam wants to know if Apple TV is sponsoring Smashbox now. They are not.
Not yet.
But we would entertain your offers, that's for sure. And then
yeah,
also I've called out UDisc Josh, who's been active here tonight. Thank you, Josh, for being around. I am interested when I go to UDisc, and I apologize, this probably has been clarified somewhere, but right now when I go to UDisc, I see, oh, there it is. I just missed it on the top. So those, if you're watching it at home on the browser, on the very top of UDisc, which I didn't see at first, there's a little link for USDGC, and then right next to it is WNC. And I didn't see that at first. I was like, where are the women's scores? I guess I was kind of looking for an MPO, FPO thing like we're used to seeing on the Pro Tour.
Two different events.
Yes. And so it is up there, and the National Championships is it's just a one little click away. And so what I wanted to say, Johnny, as we start to wrap things up, looking at the feature card, and I know that some of this was already announced on the Pro Tour's Instagram and such, but
I want to talk about the feature cards.
At the WNC, which I will do my best to always give it its full credit and name this week, which will be a very tough habit to break. But at the Women's National Championships, on the 945 card, it shows Kona Starpanis, Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, and Haley King. That is 9:45. That is Eastern time. So do your math from there. I'm in Eastern time, so I'm going to just tell you to do the math for everyone else, because for once I'm up to speed. And then on the USDGC side, I want to just call it the men's side, but on the USDGC side,
last year's winner James Conrad.
Along with,
and then your fan vote, which I easily guessed all three of them: Paul Macbeth, Simon Lizotte, Eagle McMahon.
Okay. And then the second to last card includes Kevin Jones, Ricky Wysocki, Jeremy Koling, and Kelvin Heimberg. So that's who you're going to see on that second to last card that goes out on the day. So whether they have the cameras there or there's a backup or whatever the case might be, that would be large in part who I'm guessing you're going to see during the feed coming in from the guys over at Fulcrum. There's big news with Fulcrum. Johnny, did you hear of said big news? I don't remember the details, so I can't share it, but I know there's some big news with Fulcrum today. AUDL, Fulcrum, any of that ring a bell?
Yeah, I found out about that like a week ago. I believe. Oh,
is that a secret yet? Are we not supposed to be talking about that? I think we are.
Is it open news? I honestly I don't know.
Now.
So I honestly don't.
Now there was some conversation that was made about it. So awesome to hear, and congratulations to those guys.
We haven't even discussed it. Are we allowed to talk about it?
I mean, I don't think it's worth probably getting into just for the sake of their details and whatever, but they have some good news going on.
Okay, so keep an eye out for Fulcrum Media and the AUDL just in general. We look forward to all that stuff, and congratulations to Fulcrum. I know this is a little cryptic, but I don't know what I can and can't say. I got a little inside scoop from somebody about a week ago on what was happening, and I don't know if I even told you, Terry, about that. Sorry.
You didn't. No, as usual.
Sorry.
Joe, thanks for the super chat, along with anyone else that super chat. I think Marcus Burks did earlier tonight. Thank you.
I'm a little, I can't say disappointed because it's a fan vote. The FPO, the WNC.
Okay.
I really wish, and granted, most of them are on the chase card. I really wish we would have seen a different feature card. And I understand fan vote. Everyone wants to see the best of the best, which is why we have who we have up there. But the FPO, I'm going to say FPO because normally it's one division for like other events. In the FPO fields, we tend to see the same 2 or 3 women all the time. Like it's Kat, Paige, and then lately Haley King.
Okay.
I really wish the feature card was different. And not that
sounds like throwing some shade.
Not at all. And it's not that I don't love watching Kat or love watching Paige or love watching Haley throw.
Sure.
Because I know we're going to see them probably rounds 2, 3, and 4.
Sure. So then the fair follow-up is what would you say would be the what would be the alternative measure or way
There is none.
to arrive at a feature card? Oh.
The only way you arrive at I think a feature card that doesn't have those people in it is if you're picking it as an event. Like, that's it. Because if you put it to a fan vote, you're going to get the best of the best. They're the best. They have the biggest fan following. They have, you know, the largest viewership that they bring in. So like the media companies, whether it's us or Fulcrum or whomever, they want to see that because you are going to draw more eyeballs. As someone who watches a lot of disc golf and a lot of live golf, because I have to, not because I want to, because I have to. I would have loved to see a card with, like, in general, we'll just say Vanessa Van Dyken, Cat Merch, maybe a Haley King, Owen Scoggin, and another player who is pretty good, but we don't necessarily see all the time on there. And then second card, we're going to see Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, and then probably two more women that we see a lot. And I can't
Okay, do you
fault
propose this on the MPO side too?
The MPO side, I feel, is a little different in that we have a little bit more variety with MPO. Like, usually it's Paul, but then the other three have been lately at least a little bit more variety. Kelvin, Eagle, Simon, Kevin Jones. I'm going to bring up. I feel like there's been a little bit more variety with the MPO just due to the size of the field and the size of the top of the field. You know, we had Yuli last week. So I'm a little bit, I would say not less, but as much as I would love to see a card of MPO with, like, we'll say Barella, Hammis, I'm trying to, I have to go to the USDGC. I was on WNC's page. Like, I'll start like Gibson and, you know, you almost always have to have last year's winner. So you throw Conrad in there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's just a fair thing. I feel like at any given point, you could see one of those players on the lead card in 2, 3, and 4. You're probably going to get Paul in there. You're probably going to get Heimberg in there the way it works. With FPO, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel with FPO, there's really 5 women up there, and we're probably going to see Paige, Hokum, Kat, and then the fourth one might rotate. It might be Haley King. It might be Missy Gannon. It could be Owen Scoggin. It could be Paige Shue. Like, but for FPO, if I feel like, and I don't blame anybody for their votes. I don't blame like I said, the media company for wanting. I don't blame Innova for wanting the best card that's going to get eyeballs. This is purely personal in that we see a lot of the same faces in FPO because the field is smaller. And for me, I would have loved to see a change in that. And I understand why we're not getting it, but
well, and I'll follow this up and say you're clearly not alone in that what you've said. I'm not dismissing any of it. I've seen you know, someone like Courtney McCoy not too long ago in line of this conversation. She had suggested, yeah, could we see some other names that we don't necessarily see, or you know, someone that maybe is slightly removed from the game that's now coming back, or someone that's had children and then can still play, you know, as they say, good disc golf. There's a lot of different angles, I think is the best word here. There's a lot of different angles that you could put on it as to who you could feature and then why they're getting featured. I think they all are absolutely plausible angles, and then we just have to decide, or someone has to decide, well, is it going to be any one of those angles, or are we strictly going on what we'll call just pure popularity and eyeballs? And I feel like this argument is almost as old as feature cards themselves are, because people have said the same thing, and they've said it on the MPO side. Instead of seeing who we are talking about, well, should we have, you know, the state's, you know, whatever host state, you know, their best player, whoever that might be. You know, should we have the youngest person in the MPO field be on a feature card? I mean, again, I could come up with 100 angles for why somebody should be on any given card. Well, that's my cousin. Well, okay, that's one angle. They're rated half as high as, you know, some of the other players, but that's my cousin, and you want to see your cousin. I understand that. Yeah,
there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just
Yeah.
it's personal preference based on how much golf I see. There are people who maybe don't watch live golf, and this is the one event they're going to tune in for, and they're super excited to see Paige Pierce and Kat and Paul Macbeth and James Conrad. I get it, but the minute I saw fan vote like 2 days ago, I picked 3 of the 4 in both divisions. Because you just know. You know who it's going to be. It's almost like, why have a fan vote when you almost know who it's going to be? The only
you're giving people that sense of
you're giving them a sense of involvement. But I forgot about, honestly, I forgot that Conrad won last year. For some reason, I had Macbeth in my head, so I left Conrad out of my lead card for MPO, and I had put KJ in there because I thought he would get in there, and then I did not pick Haley King. Like in general, I thought for some reason I forget who I had in my list because I literally wrote him down as like, these are the people that are going to be in it. And I forget who I had for FPO, but it wasn't Haley King. But
like flip that all on its head and say, ultimately, we're using some form of democracy to come up with what most of the people want.
You're right. We're giving the people apparently what they want to see. And I'm fine with that. It just kind of hurts a little bit. I'm like, I would think that Discraft or Innova or anyone wouldn't mind seeing some of their other players highlighted. Like, and I'll throw her out there, like a Vanessa Van Dyken for Discraft. Like, cool. Like, give her a little airtime. And Paige is awesome. And, but I think she kind of sucks up all the air in the room because she's so great. And you're almost not leaving room for other people. And that's not her fault. She's just a phenomenal player. And she is as supportive as every other female in the division as anyone
Kick
can
her
be.
Off the tour.
Get her out of here. Tour. She's too good. I
hear you.
It was a little, just to me personally, slightly disappointing. I kind of went, like, okay.
Okay.
And I can say the same thing for the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just be very clear here. You're not picking on this event. This could be said of literally every event.
This year, the DGPT has not done fan voting. If you look, it's almost always previous winner, usually previous week winner, sponsor pick, and then I think the DGPT gets to pick a player, and which is, at least this way, I kind of like that way a little better because at least if the sponsor wants to diversify, if they say, oh look, maybe we have a few Vanessa Van Dyken discs left, maybe a little promotion for her will help promote her sales, as opposed to the Paige discs which are all sold out. It gives a little more variety, but again. Innova's event, USDGC, WGN, I get it. I don't fault them for how they're doing it. That's how I kind of.
No, I mean, I love it. I remember thinking back when I was a kid, I'm sick of these stupid Michael Jordan commercials for Nike. Where's BJ Armstrong?
Yeah.
Give me him or John Paxson.
That's right.
I want the John Paxson shoe. I mean, everybody was saying that.
I know. I heard it. I remember that.
Like, where's my Bill Lambier shoe? I don't care about this Michael Jordan fella. Give me the Bill Lambier.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
No. Said no one ever. Even Bill Lambier's probably mean parents never said that. He'd be like, should we put
the
Bill
plastic
on?
face mask. I mean, how do you not love that?
I don't care. Anyway, I understand what you're saying. We continue to make the argument that you want to usually see either what people
exciting.
Either consider the best and or the most exciting or entertaining, and arguing with people's logic there is going to be a tough one. That's for sure.
And you can equate the best with the most popular in our sport. That's just how it works.
Sometimes.
For the most part. For the most part.
I don't know that I have anything else.
Nor
quick
do I.
Shout out. I know people were Carolina something or other had said I should be coming down to a local Carolina chain banger. Said that I should be coming to visit something just down the road. So if that's close enough, Flipside Cafe. This is not a paid advertisement for Flipside until they stuff my face with food or beer. But I've looked. It's not that far away. So that might happen this week. I have no idea how the week's going to go, but there's always a slight chance. I may do some form of a check-in. Smashbox may have something on any given night. After talking and watching golf all day, I can't guarantee that I'm not committing to anything on any given night this week, but I do have really great internet, and I love my hotel setup. So maybe I'll check in on a Facebook or something like that at some point this week. Maybe I won't. I just wanted to throw it out.
You look like you're sitting in a restaurant booth.
Honestly, I love this hotel setup. I mean, obviously that's that's my window way back behind me. I don't know what you can see right here. That's my window. There's a little light like right behind me. That's just like a little accent light that's on the back of my bed. So right on the other side of this light is my bed. And then on that wall that's just wallpaper that looks like fake brick. This is a Cambria. So now I've just given away my location. This is a Cambria. It's the on the nicer scale of the Choice Hotels chain, which until they pay me to say otherwise is not still that impressive. But it's a newer building. I will say otherwise if you pay me, Choice Hotels. And me being a platinum member doesn't count. I had to earn that shit. Anyway, they had a great deal on it for the week. It's 15 minutes from the course, and I am loving it. And their internet, Johnny, for all the geeks out there that care, like 100 by 100.
Wow.
Well, solid.
Which is normally
internet.
pretty good, and most of the time your hotel has a bunch of people on it, so it's probably using it. And these days, you never know that you could be one of like 8 people in that hotel. So just splitting that.
Yeah, there is not many people here. They do have a bar downstairs, which doesn't do much for me really, but there is one downstairs. And
is it even open?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this hotel, and more so the internet. So that's the number one factor as if I go live or not on any given night. But Carolina Chainbanger with the hot tip: do not eat at the restaurant there. It's no good, not good. I wasn't really tempted. So, all right, guys. Well, we appreciate all of you for joining us, as always. Believe it or not, a somewhat normal podcast here for us here tonight, even though I'm remote. On the eve of the WNC, on the eve of the USDGC, our only majors here in 2020. It is very exciting, along with the Pro Tour news, the payout, the TV coverage, all of that also around the corner. So you guys better be buckled up and ready to go, because it's going to be a wild ride for these next couple of weeks. Looking forward to it. So for Johnny V and Millennial Mo, who's out, who knows what he's doing. He embraces that. For Millennial Mo and Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, we look forward to seeing you guys on both the pay-per-view option through the USDGC.com as well as your included option with Disc Golf Network. Until then, we'll see you next time when you step inside the Smash Box.